If you've ever woken up to green arrows literally everywhere, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We're going to do it today for Monday, almost said Wednesday, Monday, May 12th. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot going on. The demise of the country and the United States was greatly exaggerated. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Monday, May 12th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully, y'all had a better weekend than Shane Lowry, who ended up kicking away the golf tournament. Sorry, producer. I'm sorry that happened. I really am. I actually really like Shane Lowry. He's a really good player. That was disappointing to see. Nonetheless, hope that you had a great weekend. I can say here in Chicago, we got a little bit of a rogue, windy weather day on Saturday, but it was absolutely gorgeous yesterday, and it's gorgeous today. And if you turned on your computer or your television today, it's probably gorgeous there too, because there is green arrows everywhere. Got a lot of news here that we're going to go ahead and break down. But I'm stoked because I get to see my favorite group of people. Ivan, good morning. I see that the healthcare stocks have declined with Trump's announcement of cheaper drugs, but the biotechs have jumped upwards. We're going to talk about that. That's the second biggest piece of news here today. Ivan, good morning. Happy Monday. It's great to see you again. Hellcat, good morning. Mama Bear, coming in hot. Mama Bear's ready to go. Alim, good morning. GRYP is on the movers list. We're definitely going to break that down here today. Pete, good morning. Hope you're well. Ashok, good morning. Jane, good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Crystal, Chuck, and Jonathan, good morning. Big Bees, happy new week. Lots of overnight weekend activity. Let's get it. Indeed. And I think the big thing that we need to kind of focus on today. I added to Google. I added to Tesla. We talked about adding a Chewy position last week. Boy, it looks like all those are going to work here today. Really what we need to focus on is what's next here, right? Because if you're going to sell into this gap, I totally get it, but we need to have a plan for what's going on next, and we're going to focus a lot on that here today. Brett, good morning. It's great to see you again. Terlingua. God, I love that. It just rolls off the tongue. Terlingua, good morning. It's great to see a day trader locked in up early in the West Coast. Hopefully you've got your coffee, boss. Good morning. White chocolate mocha. Shanlu Trading. Good morning. Graph. Good morning. Yeah, so fine. Good morning. Bernhard. Good morning. Coils. Good morning. Delvin. It's great to see you again. Sanctuary City Slicker. Good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi. Welcome back. Good to see you as always. Catherine Crenshaw says, let's roll. I love the excitement. Let's go. Good to see you again. Chopped Coop. Welcome back. Welcome back. Jay Wild, good to see you. E-Rock, good to see you. Lion, how are you doing with the trade desk? We were shocked that we didn't see you on Friday. Not only was that timing of that trade desk buy right ahead of earnings great, but now you're getting some follow through. Oh, baby Lion. I know this is a good start to the week for you. Good morning. Kamal, good morning. JJ, good morning. Relaxed by Music. Love that name. Good morning. Welcome to Zinger Nation. Let me know if you want a chart broken down. Barry the Great. Back again. KDLY. Massive move here. That's at the top of the movers list. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll be covering KDLY. Jonathan, Jay Harris, Yassine, good morning. Justine, good morning. Yassine and Justine. I like when you two post right next to each other because that rhymes. It makes me feel like I came up with something smart. So good on you. Harley, good morning. Gary, good morning. Gary, you got that bourbon locked in already? Just kidding. PO is what we're going to call you. Good morning. Cad, good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. And Abed, good morning. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. We're actually going to start with the chart here today. Then we'll go ahead and talk about the morning update. Good morning, Zach. It's great to see you again. Okay, so we're going to go through the news. We're going to go through everything, but we're going to start here with the chart. S&P futures here just absolutely raging here this morning. SPY's up 3%, S&P futures up exactly 3.01%. This is actually off the highs, was actually up a little bit more earlier. You take a look at the SPY chart here. We talked yesterweek is what I'm going to call it. We talked yesterweek about how some of these candles, well, it was really constructive because we broke above a trend line, we held above a 50-day moving average, and we held above the 10% pullback level throughout the entire course of the week. We actually had low ranges on pretty much all of those candles. And at the end of the day, a lot of them almost kind of looked like dojis, right? They almost kind of looked like neutral candles. Yeah, we got this trend break, this near-term trend break, but it really didn't go. We had that 200-day looming above that I said that we were going to test for certain. There's a magnet there in it and the price, and we got that here today. We didn't just get a test. We got a bust through. So it'll be, we'll talk about the next steps here. But you'll notice here, SPY currently sitting at 581.20, the 5% pullback level. Yes, that's right. The 5% from the all-time highs pullback level that some of y'all thought we weren't ever going to see again this year. Well, guess what? We're right back there. 581.10, that pullback level is 582.30. It sure seems to me like we're going to test that level here today. Perhaps more important than that level is going to be that 200-day moving average. We waved bye-bye to that 8 points ago. That's 573.44. We really want to close above that. I know I'm excited here. The timing's pretty good. The reality is that the day's not over. We want to see where we end up closing here today. A close above both the 200 and the 100-day moving average here would be great. Two more closes above that would be better still, and we can kind of go from there. Now, that's not going to stop us. We still have plenty of earnings here this week. We got some Fed stuff this week. A lot of those Fed members are going to be talking here, but so far, looking at the chart, this looks pretty damn good. If we zoom out a little bit, let's kind of go back to, let's call it the fall, beginning of the fall of last year and all of this year. It's also worth noting, if we want to take a look at some next levels, let's maybe focus on here. I kind of wanted to zoom out and keep this all together here. Let's focus here on some of these volume shelves. You can see how concentrated we are up here. That fall away from this level really kind of spooked people. Hopefully y'all didn't panic, because if you didn't panic, you're probably in good shape. In fact, if you added, you're probably in really good shape. Let's take a look at some of these levels, right? We're starting to push up into where there was a lot of volume already. Volume point of control up here at 605. If we continue to push northward from here, another 20 points or 19 points or whatever it is, that's going to be your $600 level there on SPY. I'm absolutely expecting resistance if we're strong enough to get up there. But let's pay attention to some of these levels, because in order to set new all-time highs and really start going, we're going to need more than just what we got. All right. Now, let's focus on what we got. U.S. stock futures rise as U.S. and China agree to a 90-day tariff pause. Wider earnings growth should drive more balanced market performance. That comes from an expert. Oh, those dreaded experts. How about that? U.S. stock market. I'm going to start over. U.S. stock futures jumped on Monday after a muted day of trade on Friday. Futures of major benchmark indices were trading up over 2% in the pre-market. We're actually still above 2%. We're right at 3% at this point right now. Dow here is up almost Dow. The NASDAQ here is up almost 4%. Dow's up 2.5%. U.S. and China announced a 90-day truce. So this isn't the end of the negotiations. This isn't a deal. It isn't completely over. So keep that in mind. But U.S. and China announced a 90-day trade truce to pause reciprocal tariffs on Monday and revised it from 125% to 10%. This comes after the White House and Chinese officials signaled significant headway in trade negotiations held in Geneva over the weekend. This was one of the big events going into the weekend that we talked about last week. How was this going to go? We all kind of agreed that there wasn't going to be a done deal at the end of this weekend. That's exactly where we find ourselves. Well, we've made some headway, and while the market is clearly telling you that it likes it, it's not over yet. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. I especially have to temper my excitement because, like I said, we're going to figure out what the next step is here today. It's going to be our biggest task. here today. The U.S. will maintain its 20% tariffs on Chinese imports linked to fentanyl, keeping the overall tariff level on China at 30%. Quote, we had very productive talks, and I believe that the venue here in Lake Geneva added great equanimity to what was a very positive process, end quote. That quote comes from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on those talks. The U.S. and China joint statement also indicated Beijing's agreement to suspend or remove all non-tariff countermeasures implemented since April 2nd, including sanctions on specific U.S. firms and export limits on crucial minerals. That is according to the South China Morning Post. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.4%. We've been following that. That's actually a little bit higher. The 2-year bond, 3.98. Now, a couple of other things in here. I just wanted to skip over that. Here we go. Some insights for you. After last week, 90% of the S&P 500 companies have reported quarterly results, and the performance has been strong relative to expectations. That's the other part of this entire thing. We knew earnings were coming. Everyone assumed that, oh my God, everything's slowing down here. Everything's getting worse. Woe is me. The United States is doomed. These earnings are going to be terrible. Guess what? They're not all that terrible. They're really not. And in fact, they are stronger than relative to expectations. Now, it is worth noting that the bar has been lowered in a lot of cases, but that's how it works. That comes from Brian Terry, and by the way, the investment strategist at Edward Jones. 78% have beaten analyst estimates with an average upside surprise of 8.6%. He highlighted forecasts for the first quarter earnings growth of S&P 500 companies have been revised higher to 13.2% from 6.7% at the end of the quarter. Performance has been broad, with 8 of the 11 sectors forecast to report higher earnings year over year. Wider earnings growth should drive more balanced market participation across sectors, strengthening the case for portfolio diversification, in our view. This, to me, is the key takeaway, because one of the things that we have been saying long before all of the turmoil was introduced was how concentrated the buys and the bulls were in a lot of these tech stocks, namely the Mag 7 stocks. Diversification into other parts of the market is going to be phenomenal for everybody, and we definitely want to see that continue here. Hopefully, this is just the first step in that diversification. Charles Schwab said in a note that they are maintaining a neutral, quote, market perform rating on sectors, a shift made in April after the White House announced broad-reaching tariffs on imports. Quote, uncertainty about the ultimate level and timing of the tariffs has made it difficult to assert a view on which sectors might outperform or underperform the S&P 500 index. So we are holding all sector ratings at market perform until we have more clarity on trade policy. So there you go. Now, a look, we talked a little bit about some of the events here this week. We do have a lot of stuff coming on. In fact, let me start here with the earnings. Okay, here's your earnings calendar this week. We have a lot of earnings. So I'm just going to kind of summarize it here. Big earnings this week include, I guess you could say, Rigetti and Astis, but also things like CoreWeave that we've been following, Walmart, Baba, John Deere, Carvana, Twilio, Hertz. That should be fun. JD, Oklo, Cisco. So plenty of big earnings this week. That should also change things here. We'll see how this all shakes out, and we'll see what kind of trading opportunities we get here today. Now, as far as some of the Fed speakers that you should also be aware of, on Wednesday, Fed Governor Waller will speak. 5:15 in the morning. Boy, he's starting early. Philip Jefferson will speak, and Fed President Mary Daly will speak. On Thursday, we've got the jobless claims. Let's see what else we have. Federal Chairman Jerome Powell, I believe that's also there on Thursday. And then Governor Michael Barr. On Friday, April's import price index, housing starts, and building permit data will be released in the morning. So we do have a lot of data. We've got a lot of Fed speakers. We've got earnings. We've got a lot of moving parts here this week. But obviously, this is a good start, unless you went full port short last week, in which case, rip. Sorry about that. Should never be doing that. Okay, that's the big news story here. Let's talk about the second biggest news story here. This one's fairly interesting. I don't really have a position here to take advantage of this, So I'd love to have a discussion here with the group on all of this. Trump says prescription drug prices set to drop by 30 to 80%, quote, almost immediately, thanks to the most favored nation plan. Mark Cuban urges the president to force transparency. On Sunday, President Trump vowed to slash prescription drug prices through a sweeping executive order. Trump took to Truth Social and announced plans to sign a new executive order under what he called the most favored nation pricing policy. The president said that the executive order will ensure that the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. I'm not going to read you the big text wall that he posted. I tell you what, someone from his team would really do us all a favor and teach him how to use the enter key and just make some paragraph breaks. It's just much easier on the eye to read. It's actually easier to keep your place. He likes to use kind of a lot of extravagant language too. So that would really help maybe emphasize stuff. Just a free tip for the team there, just in case they want to listen to me. LOL. He added that prescription drug prices would drop almost immediately by 30 to 80% and called the move one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. In response, a user on X, formerly Twitter, I'm not sure why we didn't get that, expressed skepticism, saying it would be nice if Trump's super important post about drug prices was really achievable. I think all Democrats would agree, but most things Trump brags about, they are pie-in-the-sky promises that can't and won't actually materialize. Maybe this person comes from our chat. I don't know. Just kidding. Love you all. That's where billionaire entrepreneur, Cost Plus Drugs founder Mark Cuban, I guess he's trying to make a return to the news cycle after embarrassing himself during the election cycle, stepped in. Cuban announced the ambition of Trump's plan, but highlighted a more attainable path forward. Quote, I don't know if he can force the price, but he can force transparency, and that will help. I actually agree with Cuban here. Transparency would help in a lot of that, although I do think this is a really good idea. Bringing some of these drug prices down would really be helpful to all different asset classes and all different people in different asset classes is what I should have said. Earlier this month, he signed another executive order directing the Food and Drug Administration to expedite approvals for domestic pharmaceuticals our domestic pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities. Now, as some of you noted here, several of the stocks are getting hit here today. Novo Nordisk down almost 3%. Eli Lilly down over 3%. Pfizer's down here. Johnson & Johnson down here. So a lot of these stocks are going to change. The question that I have here for the group, the larger question here is, what's next? There's definitely going to be pockets of bullishness that we can find here, given some of this. What's next? Ivan, you kind of already hit on it. Some of the, when you're with your opening comment here, I see that healthcare stocks have declined with Trump's announcement, but cheaper drugs, but biotechs, at least mine, jumped upwards. So the key task that I think we need to do here is what's next? Where can we find pockets of bullishness in this sector next? And some of these quality companies like Eli Lilly, when these come in, what levels make sense to maybe add some of these? Maybe even long-term ads, not even just talking about trading anymore, but just kind of bolstering some of your long-term portfolio. We'll see if we can figure that out here today. Let's go back to the actual chart here and take a look at this. I'm actually just going to start with Eli Lilly. Here you go. We're down at 709. So this thing closed at 734.57 on Friday. Here we are down at like 709. So we actually just dipped beneath the 500-day. Number one, the last time we dipped beneath the 500-day, look what the stock did. We chopped around here for a couple of sessions, and then we absolutely ripped. In fact, we moved from about the same level we're at now to over 900. So I'm not saying that the same thing is going to happen here again, but I am saying that this pullback here, this 3.4% pullback here, actually puts Lilly at a fairly interesting spot. And I think at a minimum, one of the things that we should do is have this on the radar, see how this trades here today, and see if this finds any footing. Again, a peak below this level and a move back above this level, maybe that starts or maybe that sets up for a fairly bullish move here on Lilly. One of the other stocks mentioned in the article there, Novo Nordisk, and this one has really had a tough time recently. This down even more here today. This is actually only down 2.5%. So maybe the real bad news is starting to become baked in here on this. 64.10 is where we're sitting here in the pre-market. 64.16 is that 20-day moving average. This one pretty clear right off the bat here. Can we hold above 57 and change, whatever that low ends up being? If we can hold above that, maybe we can recapture this. We really have kind of a nasty trend here on Novo, looking at like this. So this is what we're going to eyeball to kind of break to the upside if things are going to turn around here. Let me know how this news changes things for you. Let me know what your favorite targets are. Let me know if you're looking for anything in this segment. Okay, let's go back here and let's talk about robo-taxis. Y'all probably haven't had enough Elon Musk in your life, so I figured I'd give you some of this. I feel like I'd give you some of this here today. Tesla has touted the company's full self-driving technology ahead of next month's robo-taxi launch in Austin. A video was posted on X, a video posted by a handle on X called Catalog showcased the Tesla vehicle navigating its way through traffic using supervised full self-driving near Los Angeles LAX airport. Any of you that have been to LAX knows how crowded and ridiculous and highly trafficked that can be. I don't know why this is it's some ad blocker through my VPN is causing these tweets not to be shown, but it's just the tracker. If I click on it, it takes me right to the tweet. Here's the video question. Now, you can watch this on your own here. It actually is pretty impressive. For someone here that really is not impressed by full self-driving or doesn't really care about full self-driving, because I love driving myself. By the way, did plenty of that this weekend and it was awesome. This video is actually pretty sweet. This shows a number of things. This shows a car. There's pedestrians all over the place. There's erratic traffic, people pulling out. And this thing really does do a really good job in a very, very highly trafficked area. So make your decision yourself on whether or not this is something that you like. It was a pretty sweet video. This feature doesn't necessarily move the needle for me, but it is going to impact these stocks. We're going to have to factor that into all the stuff that we're thinking about doing. Tesla's official handle on X quoted the video and said LAX is no problem for FSD supervised, Giant EV said in a post. As Musk, EV giant is gearing itself up for the launch of a robo-taxi event in Austin. The company has hit a snag as the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office refused to grant the company trademarks of robo-taxi as well as cybercab. I don't know why. I guess I don't really care. I'm sure they'll come up with another name for it. Elsewhere, Tesla asked its workers to stay at home as the company extends the Memorial Day break amid a 13% drop in deliveries and inventories piling up at Tesla dealerships. Quick look at Tesla's price here today. With the rest of what's going on with the market, as you can imagine, Tesla is having a great day here. Here is the chart. We'll take a look at where we're at. Look what happens here. We were right at that 200-day. Sure looks like now we are breaking out, and we're going to try and test this 100-day. That value up there at 325.41. We'll see if we can cross above that. You'll also notice that this price happens to line up with a pretty decent former support level. That should now be resistance. That's going to be this bottom right in here, 326-ish or thereabouts. It found some support here before finally cracking on the way down. Now it looks like we're going to test that on the way back up here. So this is kind of where we're sitting here on Tesla. Let's see where else. On the other hand, the EV manufacturer continues to wrestle with poor sales figures both within the US and as well as regions like Europe. Recently, the company announced it offered free FSD transfers for its customers on all of its models in a bid to boost sales. However, analysts are still optimistic about Musk's company's future. Oh, sorry. I'll go blow my nose here in a sec. As analyst Gary Black believes Tesla will reap the benefits of increased EV adoption as well as autonomous driving. So, okay. So going back to the Tesla chart here, before we talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff here, I want to get your opinions here on Tesla. I think it's fairly safe to say that the bottom is in. I know that there were several folks calling here for double digits, 150, 100 handle. Guys, I think you can scrap that. That's not happening. The question next here is, where do we go on Tesla? What is the next level where we're really going to find some resistance? How do we trade this next? Let me go. Just give me 1 sec here. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Where do we go with Tesla next here? What's the next trade? Do we go higher here? Do we play a regression back to the mean? Do we start looking at former resistance levels that we took out? Or do we think we're going to roll over here, maybe hit some of these moving averages and maybe some of these former support levels? I'm curious to see what the temperature of the group is here. Producer, maybe we should run a poll here on how you figure it out. I kind of want to incorporate what direction the next move is going to be, but I kind of also want to try to gauge the sentiment for Tesla, if anything's changed here or not. I think we should come up with something. I'm not sure exactly what it should be yet, but let me know. Let me know what you think. CA4 has been Tesla might dip, but would seem it's on its way to 340 here. If we take a look at 340 on the chart, that puts us like right in here. Chris, this was the consolidation area from the fall that we ended up breaking out of. This was not this. Yeah. Okay. So this was the consolidation post-election before we ripped to the 480 highs. So your 440 level there, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's right above the 440. Yeah, that's right above this 100-day, and it's above the current resistance area that we find ourselves at. Be interesting to see if we get above that. Appreciate that, though. That's exactly what I was looking for. Jonathan is saying, don't forget, Tesla has around 9,000 Bitcoin. Actually, let's see if we can get that updated figure here from treasuries.bitbo.io. Again, for any of you that might not have that, let me go ahead and throw that here in the chat. Let me see what we got here. Tesla has a total of 11,509 Bitcoin. This represents 0.055% of the 21 million outstanding and has a street value, I guess you would say, of what? 1.1, almost 1.2 billion with a B. Billion with a B. So indeed, Tesla actually has quite a bit of Bitcoin, a little bit more than what we were saying there. Bitcoin, by the way, quick look at that. That actually traded above 106 in the pre-market here today, at least on the CBOE futures ticker for Bitcoin. That ticker currently sitting here at 104,000. So Bitcoin also making a really, really nice move here. I guess while we're on the subject here, what's next for Bitcoin? Where are we going next in Bitcoin? Day trader, I'd really like to, do you think we have a big pullback here coming after this run? Let me know. And if we need to go to the chart, we can do that as well. I actually, given everything that's kind of going on right now, really haven't given as much thought to Bitcoin as I should have. Or as I should be, but there's always time to change that. So, okay, really, really good stuff there. YouTube pull up, Tesla sentiment, next move. There we go, producer. You went out and did it. Day trader, thank you. Already very quickly answering my question. Regarding crypto, no big pullback anytime soon. You know what, day trader? I'm calling an audible right here. I'm calling an audible right here. We're going right to the Bitcoin chart. Now, what happened to my drawings here? Let me add these two moving averages back here, because this one, we're going to do this and make this the 50-day. Sorry, I like I said, I called an audible here. I probably should have had these prepared a little bit earlier. I'm sorry that I didn't. Let's go ahead and add the 200-day in here as well. Thankfully, I've done this a whole bunch of times, so I know what all these values should be. It's quite easy. We also had a trend line in here, did we not? Right? We had this nasty Bitcoin trend that we snapped out of. And then we also had that 73K horizontal line level. Did we not? Pretty sure that we did. That was going to be like right in here. Okay. We're pretty much back to, yep, there we go. Pretty much back to where we had that here. Okay. Day trader saying no big pullback anytime soon. Well, first of all, look at this move, right? So I've got this marked off here at 74.5. I just eyeballed it. So use whatever number you really want. 74.5 up to 104 here. Look at the size of this move. Remember, we had this huge double top here at 108 and change. This is next. In fact, we're going to go ahead and mark this off on the chart, and I'm actually going to save this chart so that it can't possibly. Oh, here we go. All right. This to me is next, day trader. Let me know. Do you think we break above this? Do you think we find some resistance here, maybe chop around? And then alternatively, maybe it's the same thing. What would you rather have happen here? Would you rather us chop around at this level before smashing through it and kind of solidifying it? Would you like to see a huge move through this level? Let me know here. And while we're doing that, let me go ahead and save this chart here. We're just going to save it as BTC. Okay, sweet. Now that way, if we lose it, I should be able to load it again, at least with those drawings. Okay, let's see here. Let me catch up here real quick. Oh, you went on. I should have kept reading, day trader, because you actually gave me a spot. 100 to 105 for a week. So day trader, you're thinking we chop around here and consolidate for a week? Honestly, if that's the action that we get, I think that would be pretty good. I think that would probably solidify this level. Jay Harris thinks we're going to 110,000. That means we test this double top area. Let's see, maybe we would set a new double top. We would actually take this high out if we went to 110. So it seems like you're looking for that. Okay. Neville's asking, does anyone know why XRP is mooning? That's because Lion Atlas is having a day and he's making it moon. Just kidding. Okay, yes, we want to base to build over 100,000. Okay, so again, you're saying that the move above 100,000 here is definitely great, but let's base, maybe consolidate, maybe set a new level before we move higher. That makes a lot of sense to me, day trader. I think we could probably get that here. Okay. Jay's asking, what's going on in the market? Jay, that's funny. I got to think that you're trolling. Either that or you just joined a little bit late here. Looks like the tensions with China, not as bad as initially thought. Okay, let's have a little bit more fun here. This is a former Tesla bull. Ross Gerber calls Google-backed Waymo's self-driving taxis, quote, better than a human, end quote. I would pick a fight with Ross Gerber on that one. There's no way a Waymo's a better driver than I am, but that's neither here nor there. Says they're tough competition for Uber and Tesla. Has anyone cooled faster on a company that they like faster than Ross Gerber on Tesla? I'm not sure that that's ever happened. Prominent investor Ross Gerber recently shared that, in his view, Alphabet's Google subsidiary, Google-backed Waymo, self-driving technology performs way better than human drivers, hinting at growing pressure on ride-sharing and autonomous vehicle rivals. The CEO and co-founder of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management shared his experience on his X account after observing a Waymo vehicle navigate through congested beach traffic. God, that beach traffic is always brutal, isn't it? Maybe he missed the Waymo that got stuck in the roundabout loop on the way to the airport with a customer who needed to make a flight in the back. Must have missed that video. A Waymo navigated by us with precision that was better than a human. Waymos drive extremely well, Gerber stated, adding that the development is, quote, going to be very tough competition, end quote, for Uber and Elon Musk's Tesla. Well, Izzy's not here yet, but I can't wait to see what he feels like for Waymo versus Uber here. I sure feel like Uber is absolutely hitting it on the screws right now. So we'll see. And I think I see Besant on CNBC. I know that they were supposed to have a live interview with him. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to start a while ago, so I'm not sure if this is live. Y'all should let me know if that's the case. But it looks like that was a clip from earlier. So it looks like they had that interview earlier here. Market did actually trade up on that. Okay, just wrapping this story up here. Gerber's comments came across to CBS Sunday morning correspondent Dave Pogue's segment, highlighting Waymo's achievement of 50 million miles driven without a fatality. According to the report, Waymo plans to expand into 15 cities by year end, offering rides at the same price as Uber. We'll see what that does for it. Okay, Dustin say, anyone know why TEM jumped up this morning? Okay, so I apologize. I guess I was a little too sarcastic. It appears that not everybody is aware of the news that's going on. Dustin, dude, everything is higher here today. And when I say everything, I'm not even just like joking around a little bit. I mean, pretty much everything here is higher, and it is higher on the back of the trade tariff pause. The talks with China in Switzerland over the weekend went very well. As a result, they agreed to pause the reciprocal tariffs, lower some of these rates, which were effectively an embargo. The people that hate Trump, the TDSers, think that China's winning this. The other folk think that Trump is winning this. The reality here, the market is higher. That's what's driving all of these things up, Dustin. So if you had a tech stock, you're probably doing pretty well. Frankly, if you had pretty much anything, it should be higher here today. I'll check just to make sure there's no other news with Tempest. Nope. This all is on the back of what's going on. Okay. Ross isn't the brightest. Yeah, I would say so. He's very opinionated, and he swings back and forth wildly, I would say. That's how I would describe Ross. But there you go. Okay, let's see. A holy gap up on Amazon. That's another one that probably traded higher here. That's, you know what, day trader? That's actually one that I wish I had. I've been trading some of these other ones. I'm really happy with the Google trade. I actually added to Tesla. I was a little bit nervous about that one, but that's going to end up working out here today. Amazon, however, probably one of the stocks that should have played a little bit more. You're absolutely right. Look at the move here on Amazon. We are up 8.5% here in the pre-market. The stock closed around 193 on Friday. This is 209.5, and actually looks like it's trying to go higher here in the pre-market. So, that's kind of what I wanted to get to. Now that we're back on the charts here, this is kind of the question that I wanted to pose for people, and I wanted to get the feeling from the group here. What I was saying earlier is, what we should be focusing on today is what's next, right? We're going to pull the Wayne Gretzky approach here, and we're going to skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is here this morning. So what's next? I ask you folks, what do you think is next? Do you think that do you think Trump comes out, says something incredibly stupid, and sinks the entire market? Do you think that this is actually paving the way for a deal with China? Do you think that we get other deals to kind of supplement the good news that we got out of China this week? Where do we go next here? How should we be positioning our short-term and long-term allocations after a move like today? I'll start here. I'll start with the easy one. On days like today, I don't necessarily think you should be buying for the long term when stocks are up 8 and 10%. That's just me. I would prefer to be adding stocks on days that they're down. This is why I was adding to some of the stuff here on Friday, thinking that we might get some good news over the weekend and some of that stuff might bounce back. So I would caution on initiating new positions on stocks that are gapping up here today. Now, if you have a long-term dollar cost average approach and 8% here or there doesn't really matter because your time horizon is so great, at least you have a plan, you know what you're doing. But what I want to get from the group here, where are we going next? Where are we going next? Zach says, Ryan, that's a silly question. Are we thinking these will have an immediate pullback or break up, or is everyone pumped enough to gap these, the Mag 7? Okay. Well, again, this is kind of the $64,000 question. Like, I think that we will probably get where I'm sitting right now. I would imagine that we'd probably run a little bit in the morning. Now, what levels do these things get to? I don't necessarily know for sure, or where they close or anything. But that what I'm trying to get at here, Zach, what I'm trying to figure out here is maybe we should buy some protective hedges, right? Like maybe with such a strong move here, Got a lot of back and forth going on. Maybe we should buy some. I'll see here. The only thing that I carried over from last week was some SQQQ that expired this week. That's going to get obliterated. So I would say that even if I'm going to take some of those protective moves, if I'm going to hedge this a little bit, I'm actually going to look for a new position. I'm not going to add to the existing position that got crushed. And I do think that at some point today, maybe, especially if we like push up out of the open here, I do think, a couple of cheap calls that you wouldn't mind missing. Maybe that would be a good idea, or a couple of cheap puts just to kind of play some more downside here today. I'll let you know if I do put any of those positions on. Right now, though, I'm in mode. I'm trying to take some gains today. Like I said, I added on Friday to Tesla and Google. We're going to be ringing the register here today. By the way, let's see if I got the sound working again. Please tell me that you folks can hear that register ring, because I was pissed last week when my sounds weren't working, and I got them fixed up as soon as we got off of this. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Lion saying Amazon and Apple, Ryan, will go up, but on this news, I'm in Amazon, but not in Apple. Okay, so we kind of already covered that. FINRA short data was out after the session on Friday. We could have some squeezes this week with the new tariff sentiment. Jonathan, I didn't even realize this. This is a heads up call. We will, as we always do, we're going to be taking a look at short interest on some of these things. This is a really good thing. This is a really good mention here. CA Forsman saying, I think the market is begging for a negative headline, Ryan. And this, again, we've kind of seen this back and forth, right? Like, one of the things we've talked with Matt Maley a lot here. One of the things that I've noticed is when we have these huge moves, we often get a very quick regression back to the mean, either the next day or during the same day. And you're right, Chris. Now we've got a lot of good headlines here. And we're kind of, the market's kind of sniffing out for a negative one. I don't know what that one's going to be, but you're right here, Chris. Let me ask you, are you positioning for downside here today? Is that what you're doing? Let me know. Trump is too tired to keep up this fight and wants a quiet summer. To each his own. I think that's completely off base. I don't see anything about this guy that has been tired. Were you here for the last 4 years? Would be how I respond to that. Market is approaching fever territory. Again, kind of thinking that maybe we do play a move back or a regression back to the mean here. I will definitely try to position for that. I will use fairly low risk to put that on. Ryan, I'm selling this. Here we go. This is exactly what I was looking for. Lion, appreciate your direct answer here with no ambiguity. Ryan, I'm selling on this pop. So just to be clear here, what my plan is, some of these shorter term trades, I'm absolutely selling into this pop. Just to be very clear, I am absolutely selling into this. None of this is altering my long-term view. So stuff that I have for the long term, I will not be making any adjustments here. The only caveat, I guess, if Ondas trades above $1 here, we'll start rigging the register on some of that because we've added so significantly when that thing was down in the 60-cent handle. But Lion, I really appreciate that. You're selling this pop. I am too with some of my shorter term things. Let me know out there, any of you else. Are you selling into this? What are you doing here today? Big B is going to be looking out for profit takers this morning. Should be lots of volume, crossing my fingers. That's another good point. I think with such a huge move here, a lot of folks that were adding to positions last week are likely going to be looked for taking profit here today. To me, that's trading action. Like, that's what you should be doing, right? You should be adding when things are depressed. You should be selling into rips like we're getting here today. That's exactly what I'm going to be looking for here today. Sanctuary City says it means the economy is not tanking. Yeah, it does mean that. But there are some people that are invested in the economy tanking, so let's try to be nice to them. White Chocolate Mocha says we're going to the moon. We'll see if we stay on the moon. Day Trader saying, I think there will be profit taking at some point today. I think you are correct, sir, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that right out of the open here today. Buffalo by Bicycle is saying, I think the rally is going to be sustained. I love that we have opinions on both sides of the aisle. This is making me excited. Lion says we'll run for a day or two, but the market is still showing weakness. Okay. Sanctuary City says let's check in with a celebrity to see what they think. Oh my God. That might, I'll tell you what, that is so far. I know it's early, but that's the comment of the day right there. Let's check in with a celebrity and see what they. I'm sorry, I'm laughing so hard. I was not expecting that. White Chocolate Mocha says, I think the market will go up and then down and then up again. And then sometime later it will go down. Oh, I can see that the weekend didn't sap y'all's humor at all. You came ready to go. When everyone is buying, I'm selling and booking my gains. Line, I think that's really smart. Jay Harris saying Home Depot play. Hey, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's take a look at Home Depot. So this is interesting. So first of all, I think that I drew, yep. So we have a couple of possible formations here on Home Depot. You can see that we actually have the near-term head and shoulders. Here's your neckline right down here about 381. But then I also preemptively drew a longer-term head and shoulders here. This is on a weekly time frame. We'll see if we trade into that, okay? See if we trade into that. Let me go back to the daily. Home Depot here up 3.5%. That puts us at 375 and change. Puts us about right here. So first of all, just kind of looking at where we're at, it does look like we're breaking out of this formation. And I hate to even do this because you guys are probably tired of this. If I look right here, here, and then like maybe here, let me try moving that like right here. Maybe we have an inverse head and shoulders. Maybe we have a battle of the head and shoulders here on Home Depot. I say all that to say I think that the play for Home Depot or the big move for Home Depot and Lowe's for that matter is going to be as we start getting more and more and more deals here when they officially sign something with Canada. I think that's going to be the deal that really sets us off here for these two stocks. Now, I don't know when we're going to get that. I don't know the specifics of any of that. Call it a gut feeling. Call it a hunch. I think that when we get the Canada deal, we're going to have Home Depot and Lowe's really go. Lumber, that stuff with Canada, all that stuff should affect Home Depot and Lowe's. I suspect that will be the trigger here. Brett is saying 13 doesn't love us anymore. That is kind of that is an odd news report. I'm surprised, Brett, to hear you say this. And I think what we should do is we should actually go to the source to see if your report is true or if it's a bunch of hogwash. Let's see. 13, good morning. Do you love us anymore? You're muted.
I'm still around, aren't I?
You're still around. Brett, I got news for you, bro.
You are fake news.
Sorry. Had to drop that one because I got the soundboard fix here. We got cha-chings, we got It's a Trap, and we got Trump telling Brett he's fake news here. 13, it's great to see you. Hope that you had a wonderful weekend here.
Yeah.
What do you think of the move that we got here?
Well, we talked about how we were going to get some kind of news out of the meeting with Trump in China. And, we talked about how, this was going to happen over the weekend, but we didn't know, to what extent. So this is a lot better than I think most of us expected. But, this isn't the end of the whole, tariff trade war or anything. This is just, the next chapter. It's a 90-day pause. We're still gonna we still got a lot of things to work through, and that's going to take a lot of time. So I'd say just buckle up because we're only getting started.
Okay. There are several folks that had that opinion also in the chat. Day Trader, I think you were on that one. I think you were saying this is still early. So good stuff there. I really appreciate keeping your eyes on the long-term prize, the way to go. You got any plans here that you want to share with the group about what you're doing here today, given the move, or should we just go into some other stocks?
Well, I noticed that we do have like multiple 100% runners. So yeah. I am kind of excited about that. I'm also very cautious because we've seen what happens when we start getting multiple 100% runners every day, and we started getting that last week. We had more than one. It was maybe one or two, but now we're getting like 4 this morning, something like that. So this exuberance could cause a big pull in the market once people continue to buy and bid this market up. I think you're going to see some folks are talking about profit taking and some selling. This is the kind of strength you sell into, and right. I think you just would have to be careful here about this rally. It could go on for a little bit, but I think for the most part, I'm going to be trimming some positions, taking some profits, and looking for what's setting up next, because not everything's going to be up today.
Okay, and so this is perfect because one of the things that I was trying to set the entire group up for coming into today is the Wayne Gretzky approach: skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is. So on that note, 13, what's next? Right. And to your point, maybe we do get a regression back to the mean. Maybe we get a little bit of a market pullback. Maybe that happens after a day or two of moving higher here. This is kind of why I was asking the group here. That's great. Looks like a lot of y'all are already on the same page. Justine here. I couldn't agree more with 13th. 13. It is so true. This is just the beginning. Day trader sounds like that's what you were saying. Here we go. Day trader. Thank you. Middle of the first inning here. So a lot of different ways that we can play this. And again, today is going to be a good day, especially if you bought short-term instruments on Friday. The reality is more to go here. And really what we should do is focus on what the next move is.
Yeah. I got something for you, because there's a very important report that a lot of folks look at that's coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
CPI's
tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning.
If that's not to the market's liking, then this rally could run into a roadblock.
Are you positioning for that report either way?
Not yet.
Not yet, but maybe we will here today.
I think when it's, sorry to interrupt you, but I think what's worked pretty well for me is just keep an eye on energy. That's gonna move everything ultimately.
By the way, oil here up 3.7%. We've been enjoying low oil prices for some time. Oil making a nice move north here. Easy Money saying, could CPI knock us down a little? Well, yeah, sure, right? Yeah, absolutely. If it shows that inflation is worse than we thought, yeah, I could see it knocking us down a little bit here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see what we get.
It just depends on what the expectations are versus what the actual print is.
Yep. Really good. Okay, how about we do some of these movers?
Let's do it.
Let's do some of these movers. I think we're going to be able to get through the entire list pretty easily here today. So I suspect we're going to have plenty of time to take a look at tickers when we get back here. So if you have some of those, get them ready. We should have plenty of time. Should not be an issue here today. I'm going to click over to my movers tab here. I'm going to start with chart. We're going to start with KDLY. This is the big one. Oh, shoot. Did I post that? No, I didn't. Hang on a sec here. What time is it? Yep, I'm going to go ahead and post that. Sorry, I actually was supposed to post something earlier, and I forgot to actually hit post. I had the whole thing drafted. And then this is when we do stuff live, this is the type of thing that happens here. Okay, anyway, ticker KDLY, Kindly MD. Kindly MD shares are trading higher after the company announced a merger agreement with Nakamoto Holdings to start a Bitcoin treasury strategy. Wowzers. Stock is up 575%. This thing closed around $4 on Friday. It printed above 28 already here today. 28. Day Trader says that this is interesting on the daily. This thing went from 6 to midnight. This thing went from 6 to midnight here today. Interesting. It looks like it's going straight up vertical. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest. And Jonathan, as you mentioned, short interest, the effective as of May 9th. We did get that new one. 2.5% of the float shorted here with 1.04 days to cover. Stock has a 2.99 million share float, so about 3 million. On average, we trade 4.7 million. Today, we traded 22.5 million. What do you make here of the $510 million pipe and 200 million of convertible notes?
That is a massive amount of cash the company did not see before. So that's going to definitely lift their stock price. But this is interesting because it's on a merger with to start a Bitcoin. What is it? A Bitcoin treasury strategy. Yeah. So that's not the only one that's moving on that today. So Bitcoin is hot again. I guess it has been ever since we recaptured 100,000. Company has, aside from the news with the convertibles and the capital raise, the pipe raise, The company does have about 1 to 2 quarters of cash, but I don't think that matters anymore.
Yeah.
Does have 3 million, about a little less than 3 million shares in the float. So easy to move around. Really, when it comes to something like this, we're just going to have to go to levels because this thing is just, blown past, financial reasoning at this stage. So let's take a look at that. Let me just pull this up here.
Okay, really quickly, while you're pulling up the chart, I want to jump in and answer this question here real quick. Yassine is asking, Ryan and 13, would you dump in the pre-market and take your gains just to be ready to buy dips in the morning? Okay, first of all, as we noted here, we can't advise what you do here, but I think that there's something else that we can talk about here, Yassine. A lot of this has to do with your instrument. For example, one of the things that I was doing last week was buying short-dated upside calls. Well, the short-dated upside calls means I'm answering your question for you. No, I'm not selling in the pre-market because I can't sell option contracts until the market opens. And B, if they're short-term, I better get out of them now, right? So yes, I am looking to sell today. No, I'm not looking to sell here in the pre-market. I've had plenty of bad experiences over the course of my life selling in the pre-market. Or buying in the pre-market. So I generally try to wait for the regular session just so I eliminate that variable. In the case today, I have a lot of options. Can't sell it till the market opens. 13, get back in there.
All right. So when it comes to KDLY, we're in blue sky territory here. The only levels that we really have to draw on are the highs that we've already taken out and have come to back test. So that's going to be about where we're at right now. Looks like 27.15 is going to be one of the earliest support levels. Then, of course, VWAP. Try to see if there's any idea of where this could go or how high it could go. Just one thing I just looked at here is that when we did get this first impulse move up, that took us to 26.89. RSI was about half that at 13.84. So maybe if we see another extension away from the RSI to like 1.5 to 2 times the price, that might be a good idea to say thank you and take your gains in that. And here we go. We're starting to move up into 30 now. So that's this KDLY is going to be a wild one. Be very careful. Have your stops ready. Just don't get trapped in this thing because it's really, really extended.
Okay, good stuff there. KDLY, I agree with you. This is going to be the big mover of the day. Now up 650%. 650%.
I'll be going to 1,000%.
I mean, we might, but we might be able to find something that's not quite up that much that might make a little bit more sense to trade. Maybe it's this one, ticker GRYP. This is Griffin Digital Mining. This stock actually made an impulse move. What was the top of this candle? We got this up to 491. They're merging with XIII, forming a new NASDAQ-listed crypto powerhouse, ticker ABTC here. So when is the specifics of this here real quick? Go public transaction through strategic merger with NASDAQ-listed entity. That's going to be Griffin Digital and XIII. So XIII is that one not trading here today? Nope, that is also up here today as well. Okay, sorry, I was just trying to do some of that live here. Quick look around the horn, 1.43% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. This has a float of 55.2 million. Given the news today, 13, I almost don't even think that's going to matter. On average, the stock trades just shy of 1 million shares today. We've traded 73 million already. What do you make of this? What's next here for GRYP?
Well, this American Bitcoin is managed by a number of folks, one of which is Eric Trump. So there is a Trump angle to this merger. Okay. GRYP merging with American Bitcoin. This is the second one that we're looking at here today. That's over 100% runner on Bitcoin news. So for me, that's a bit of a theme now. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Jonathan Cooper. GRYP has Eric Trump named to it. Yes, because he's one of the managers of American Bitcoin. I didn't dive too deep into this one because I don't think there's really any need to beyond some of the information I just listed there.
Sure.
It does have there's a negligible short interest. The balance sheet is, it's whatever. They lose money, they make money. I mean, I don't think that's going to really move the needle here as much as the news is and the movement in Bitcoin. So Let's look at the chart and get some technical reads here. We're at what, 207? There's a seller there, or 204. That's going to put us at right about where this this consolidation ends from the spring of last year, and then we get into this next consolidation just before that. So from about $2 to you could even say $2 to about 260 to 270. There's going to be some consolidation, and then there's going to be another resistance level right at about 340. That's a low from September 2023. So those would be the levels I'd be watching for to the upside in GRYP. Don't know how high this is going to go, but we are outlined what's going to move it, and this thing could do whatever it wants. There's a really crazy level that we've already blew through. Next one is, in the hundreds of dollars, so I don't think we're going anywhere near that. But those levels are about as good as I got for this one right now.
Okay. Good stuff there. GRYP. I got a suspicion that this one is also going to produce some fireworks here today. I hope this isn't the disappointing one of the day, but we'll see. Okay. Next here, this is another one that we have traded before.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have a trend line here from Friday that we never tested. And guess what I'm going to do, 13? We're going to extend it today because it came back into play. Yep. This to me, it makes me laugh every time it happens. Anyway, so we released earnings here this morning. Looks like we've got the conference call after the after hours here today. Stock 27-cent EPS beat the 12-cent estimate. Big beat there. Sales 50.9 million. That beat the 30.84 million. Another big beat there. They raised 100 million stock offering, pricing 76.9 million shares at $1.30 each. The current price is 206. So we're actually ripping off that here. What do you got? Oh, you know what? Let's take a quick look around the horn before I turn it over to you. 12.25% of the float shorted. That might be playing into it here. 6.96 days to cover, and that comes on 2.3 million shares of average volume. We've traded 41 million here today. 13, what do you think here? Ticker CTMX. XIII Therapeutics.
This is one we've traded frequently in the past. Last time I think we traded this was about a year ago. When it had a big rip all the way up to, 586, somewhere around there. Came right in the next day. I'd have to go back and look and see why it came back in, but I have a sneaking suspicion they did a capital raise back then, an offering. Because what's going to happen here with the one that you just mentioned, that offering of 76.9 million shares at $1.30, that's expected to close tomorrow. So we could be getting this offering here anytime between now and then. And for that reason, I think I'd probably want to avoid this one. There's probably going to be some pretty good trades, but with that offering looming, and it's 78, almost 80 cents away from where that price is, I think I'd feel more comfortable trading this if there was still volume post the offering.
Okay. It does look like the pullback from the highs here are pretty decent, pulling back to the trend line that we identified from Friday. VWAP is also lining up with that pretty well. We'll see how CTMX does here when we open. Next on the list here is going to be ticker YHC. This is LQR House. Is this the digital marketing and brand? Okay, no. Okay, so I'm not familiar with this company. I thought this might be something else here. Nonetheless, this stock did pop, as high as about 8 and change. It's come all the way back into $4 here. It's still up over 100%. I don't have any news for this one, unless it's this. Nope, that was from May 5th. So I don't think I see any fresh news here. 4.62% of the float shorted. Worth noting that is down from 54%. I almost wonder if there was... No, that looks like just the short interest is changing. Not even the float was changing there. Unless it changed from the previous one. Anyway, 4.62% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Float here on the stock, 1 million. 13, what do you think here? You think we got a trade in ticker YHC here today?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you that I think that this is moving on relative volume. On Friday, there seems to have been a 14A that was released. I'm not exactly sure if it was this company or not. I don't think it was. That was just in the news, and I don't see anything other than that. So if there's something in there that mentions YHC, that's probably what it was moving on. But I don't see any news from today. I don't see anything, anything else that could cause it to move. It's just that we had a lot of volume on Friday, and I think we're just looking at a relative volume play here.
Okay. Good stuff. That makes sense to me. We have carved out a pretty decent range. To me, it's notable that the spike that we had here on Friday is pretty much marking the support level that we've really hung out at several times here today. So we'll see if maybe it launches from here. That's about the best I got. Pretty decent range on it, though. We'll see if that gives us a trade. Next one that I have on the list here, also probably a relative volume play. This is ticker NXTT. This made a pretty huge move on Friday, and then actually had a continuation move into the after hours. Thing was a massive halt fest here. On Friday at about 1, they reported EPS holding Q1 EPS 198, down from 745 year over year. This is marked as a positive by our news desk. Not necessarily sure what's going on there. This also holds Bitcoin.
Yeah. Way more than its value.
Yeah. As of March 31st, it holds 5,833 Bitcoin, which had a carrying value of 481 million. And that is actually up from its 833 Bitcoin at the end of the year last year. So looks like a huge move here in Bitcoin really helped NXTT. Quick look around the horn here on this one. 0.36% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and a float here of just under 7 million, 6.97. What do you think, 13? What's going on here? What do we do?
This set's pretty good, actually. Looking at the company's balance sheet, the balance sheet's pretty strong, actually. Income, looking at what the information I have available, it looks like they are profitable, at least for the last 2 quarters. Don't know enough about this company to be super excited about it, but just looking around, what this company has, and they got 481 million in Bitcoin. That flies in the face of their market cap at 16.5 million. So this probably should be worth more if they are holding that much. But don't know exactly how much it's worth without doing a little bit of math. But interesting company. Looks pretty financially sound.
Okay. I would still, despite that, 13, despite your reporting and your digging into this, I would still treat this as just kind of a mover. So even if I do end up trading this here today, it will be very, very short term. There's just no way I'd be taking this home with me. One of the other things here is that while we don't necessarily have a clean double top, and I know we could probably draw a trend line if it gets crazy, and that's fine. I still think that this thing might have some pretty significant resistance up here between 560, 570, and 6. So if we get back up here, first of all, if there's any type of entry signal down here, I'm going to be, I got to think that any move up here, you have to at least take some of your gains. I would imagine that this area would send the stock price back down. We'll see if we get through it. Maybe if you want to hold for that, you think we have a big move coming here, maybe leave a trailer on. But I think if you get any type of curl move here, back up, we really want to sell up near that $6 level. Bonjour, Smoke Tuna. It's great to see you. Crow. Stocks are going straight up like a rocket ship. Indeed, they are. Dustin here. We'll take this question here. Dustin saying, would you expect the market to sell off right at the open, or would it continue to run up a little this morning and then sell off? Either way, what helps you to make your decision on whether to sell after a pop? Okay, I can start here, 13. I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to this, but I can absolutely start with some of the stuff here. First of all, couple of things that I want to distinguish right off the top here. A sell-off is going to be different than a move down from profit taking. Number one, Dustin, these are two different things. So the reason I'm starting with that is because, to go back to your question here, I could absolutely see the market dipping right out of the open here. This is a huge move higher. There's a lot of uncertainty back and forth. Like I was saying earlier, even in the case that I'm in, traders that are in short-term longs from last week are seeing huge gains in a lot of those names. They're likely going to pay themselves at least partial. So I could see the market or some of these individual names coming in a little bit. Now, to get back to your question, though, a sell-off, I think that's going to be more than profit taking. And sure, I think we could see that here. I would tend to believe that a sell-off would be paired with something news related or after there's been enough time to kind of digest the market. So to answer your question about an actual sell-off, I would think that if that happens today, it would happen a little bit later today. We often take a look for that 10:30 lunchtime lull area when stuff becomes a little bit less active. Maybe look around there, but I would don't be faked out by folks taking some profit on stuff that they had from last week early on here. Don't confuse the two. As far as what helps me make my decision, my trade plan. My trade plan is the number one thing that helps me make my decisions. I have an idea of what I want to do going into every trade so that when I get data presented to me, I'm never really thinking about this. In the case of my Google and Tesla trades, those are calls that expire this Friday. I have no problem selling out of all of those here today. Now, I might not, because if we trade up, I'm going to take partial gains and I'll leave a trailer on in case we have some more fireworks this week. But I have no problem with that. As mentioned, the move here today doesn't affect any of my long-term view. 13, do you have anything you want to share here with Dustin?
Yeah, when it comes down to me, it's going to be my levels. I keep a strict eye on those. And here's a couple that I'm keeping an eye on this morning. You still have your 5% pullback level?
I sure do. I'm so glad you brought that up. Oh, God. Yes. Let's go, 13. Let me throw a SPY up here. Here you go.
Yeah, so that value is going to be $582.57. If you look at a 5-minute chart, you can see that has been the level we've been trying to recapture all morning and have not been able to. Where we've fallen down to and been finding support, since we've been able to get above the 5% pullback level, is a previous all-time high of 580.33. That was the high that was established on October 11th last year. So that's been providing support. We've been getting resistance from the 5% pullback level. For me, it's going to be which direction we go, depending on how which one of those breaks. To me, it looks like we're going to end up losing that previous all-time high at 580. And if that happens, then I think that we're going to continue to fall and maybe get some support down closer to about 577 before we potentially could turn around. So based on the price action this morning, it looks a little bit more bearish. I would expect that we would maybe sell a little bit out of the gate here, but we could, of course, rip higher later on in the day. But I think the initial move here for me, based on the price action we've been getting this morning, is that we're initially going to go down before we go higher. So I think down is the first move.
Okay, really good stuff here. First of all, let me just say, you guys are asking really great questions. They're very, very specific, and 13 and I are doing our best to try and give you very, very specific answers. 13, if this does not behave exactly the way that you said, I'm not going to let that affect anything about what I ask you and what you're seeing earlier. We're doing the best that we can. So if it doesn't work exactly as we say, please don't be mad at us. Everything that you've said so far makes a lot of sense. Real quick, I want to highlight a couple of comments here. First of all, Crocodile Dumb Me says poppycock. The fact that you're able to use this word, this is an excellent vocab word. It makes me laugh every time I see it. Shout out to you. Trump says buy, so I buy. I didn't want to go there. Trump did say buy stocks last week. I didn't want to go there because I would imagine there are some people that are pretty upset about this comment. So let's just put that one aside. We'll focus on the action that we see here today.
But here's the thing. If it's great that he says buy, and I agree, let's all buy it. But in order to be able to buy something, who do you buy it from? Sellers. People are going to still sell. So there are going to be buyers and sellers. We can there'll probably be more buyers now, but that's fine because that's the kind of environment you want to sell into. If you're looking to take profits, this is going to be a great morning for you.
Yep. Indeed, that's actually a really good point there. Dustin says, thanks for correcting me. So first of all, I did not intend for that to be a correction, more or less a learning lesson, because I have been fooled by this myself. There have been plenty of times where we've had good news and everything's gapping up, and I'm like, today is going to be a great day. And then all of a sudden stuff starts selling off, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then I realize throughout the course of the day what's going on there. So it was not meant to be a correction, more an expansion of your own knowledge. And then you went on to say, I definitely meant a dip from profit taking, not a sell-off. So I think that you can probably expect an early dip here today. We'll see how pronounced that dip is. We'll see if we get any type of rip after that. Dustin, great questions nonetheless. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I don't care if you consider yourself a newbie or a pro. Ask whatever you want. We will do our best to try and raise the tide for everyone here. Jack Fork is asking, market in general, is this a gap, give, go? I think you meant gap and go. Or did you mean a gap, a give up a little bit, and then a go? A lot you could have meant here. I do think my prediction here is that we move down a little bit right off the open and actually do take out the 582.92 high that we set in the pre-market. That's my call here today. We'll see if I end up getting that. Sanctuary City Slicker saying, please don't expect a crash today.
No.
If you want to be a contrarian and position yourself accordingly, I'm not going to fight you on it. I do kind of agree here. We might see some down moves. I don't think we're seeing a crash here. If you want to position for, oh, this is going to fall through, Trump's a dummy, blah, blah, blah. If you want to position for that, I'm not going to fight you on that either. My only piece of advice there, give yourself some more time. I don't know that you're going to get that right away here today. Give yourself some more time if you're going to do that. Okay. Let's see. What else did I miss here? 13's comment just now reminds me of Michael Keaton's speech in Night Moves. I never saw that one, so hopefully you get it, 13. Otherwise, I pretty much just ruined STFU's joke right there.
One movie I haven't seen, actually.
Hey. How about that? STFU saying there are so many dumb questions. STFU not in this room. There isn't. Producer knows. Ain't no stupid questions around these parts. Always feel free to ask anything, as long as it doesn't involve Ryan and tights. Look, if you're going to ask about that, I'm still going to do my best to answer, but you might be disappointed. Okay, as you say, you need to pay yourself, especially in volatile times. All sorts, totally with you there. Especially if you're buying short-term instruments. It's one thing if you're buying stock to hold on for a long time. It's quite another thing if you're buying options. Trout Bum, you guys are great. Your guidance is helping me a lot. Took 30% profit in NVVE on Friday. Trout Bum, that's awesome. Let me know what kind of fish you're catching in Missouri down there. I've become a big Missouri fan over the last couple of weeks. Okay.
Funky Cold Stocks is asking if we had float data for NXTT. He was seeing 350 to 430 million. It's interesting because my broker is showing 435 million. Pro is showing me just under 7. So,
yeah. Look, I say this all the time. I say this all the time. Y'all might not want to hear it. No splits found for this either. Mm-hmm. Float is a notoriously difficult metric to pin down. And the way I say that is because, like, when I first started working here and we introduced float, we had a lot of people reach out and be like, my float's different. And I was like, how could these numbers be different? This is baloney. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Well, I dove into that. I realized that a lot of these vendors track stuff differently. Some of it's estimated, some of it isn't, and some of it's calculated based on things. There's a lot of variability in these numbers. I try not to let that dictate things. It is what it is, though. You're never going to have them exactly the same.
Yeah, but that's a pretty large difference. So I'm just trying to see if I can find another read from some other broker or company that tracks this. Because it looks like it might be on the higher side. I'm seeing some showing that they have a volume of like 217 million on average. Or I'm sorry, no, that's just today. Let me look into this real quick for you. And we'll go with whatever I find.
Sounds good. Lori here saying, you guys make me smile. Man, I'll tell you what, just aside from like work for a sec, just being a human being, just being human, making other human beings happy and I guess a smile is a good indication of that, is like primary goal number one when I wake up every day. Lori, this means a lot to hear. Glad that we do that here with the show. And I learned from all of the questions. I'm grateful for them. Here you go, folks. This right here. Lori, I'm so glad that you chose to type this out. The other thing here, folks, and I've been there before, I've wanted to ask questions in different settings and different group settings and been like, I don't want to seem stupid. And then somebody else will ask the same question that I was thinking. And I think to myself, oh, thank God, I was not the only person that was wondering that. Here you go. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you have a question, the chances out there someone else would benefit from that. Lori, this means a tremendous amount to me. And it also means a lot to me that you're saying the producer also helps, because he's a laugh riot and he works really, really hard. You don't see him here, but he works just as hard as 13 and I do. And he's absolutely fantastic. That goes for all of them, by the way.
So yeah, NXTT showing a float from Yahoo Finance of about 436 million. So let's just go with the higher one. And if that's the case, I just don't even know what to make of this move that we're getting. Those are some pretty big moves for a float with that size. But like you were pointing out, Ryan, it looks like it's also getting to be a little bit bearish. So let's just see what we end up getting here out of the open. Still has the task of trying to get back above its VWAP.
Okay. I know I clicked off the movers there. It looks like we had one more here. I think FRGT started moving while we were talking here, and there is a catalyst going on. So real quick, Freight Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced it will purchase an additional 1 million of official Trump tokens. Here we go. So this stack moving with the whole Trump made. By the way, just on this, it invokes Trump, so we might as well say the same thing. There's a lot of folks on both sides of this, right? There are folks that love the whole Trump coin crypto thing, and there are others saying that this is a huge scam and it's just designed to rip off the American people. Just whatever side you fit in, I don't really care. Just understand that battle, that back and forth, is going to be seen through some of these instruments as well. So in addition to the huge move that FRGT is seeing here today, please understand that there's now another layer of volatility on top of this, as it's now tied to the Trump coin situation. Let's just call it the situation. Okay.
When it comes to FRGT, when Kevin and I were running the show, was that on May 2nd? Because we were trading this one on when we were doing the show. I'm just trying to get my dates right here. Were you gone May 2nd?
Yeah, that was Friday. Yeah, that was when I was in Branson. That's exactly right.
So this also was moving on crypto news. They had announced that entered into an agreement to issue convertible notes through a facility of up to 20 million. That's going to be used to purchase its Trump tokens. So this is still moving on crypto news. Looks like crypto's back, folks.
Yeah, crypto. We are so back. We are so back. Okay, there's one more question that I wanted to answer here real quick. It was Abed's question. Abed, this isn't going to be the answer that you were hoping for, I suspect, but I'm going to do my best here. Would you show us how you buy short-dated upside calls if you have some time, please? Okay, so there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to this. Jay actually kind of hit on this a little bit later. I'm going to go back to your question here. Jay said earlier, keep it simple. Buy names that reacted well to good earnings and pulled back. Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and Hood. This is a lot of how I pick some of those. A lot of what Jay is saying in here, I bet. It's not necessarily a rhyme or reason. My thought on the Google trade, for example, was that, okay, AI and search and this and that, and oh my God, AI is so much better than search, and search is going away, and that means Google is done. No, that's not the case. Basically, what I'm trying to do, and if you think back to some of the lessons that Mark Petrino gives us about the market actually being like a psychological measurement or experiment almost, my thought here is this is, first of all, Google's a quality company here. So if there's any company that's going to bounce back from an outsized down move, it's first going to be the companies that execute and that have good businesses. This isn't some fly-by-night penny stock that we don't know history on. I thought the move is really outdone here. So what am I going to do? Well, what happens if it retraces partial? What happens if it retraces some of the move? I don't necessarily want to select 165 calls. I could, but I don't necessarily want to, because I actually think I might be able to get something a little bit better. So I looked at the pricing of the option contracts, and I picked one that said, if I'm completely wrong, or I wake up tomorrow and there's even worse news than today, am I going to be really pissed? Meaning if I bought several calls that were $500 a piece and I woke up the next day and those things were obliterated by 50%, I'd be sad. If I buy a handful of calls that are $1.50 a piece and I wake up the next day and they're down by 20, 30%, I'm not as mad. So I will often try and determine my risk level ahead of entering the trade. And that will determine how, in a lot of cases, that'll determine what strike price I choose. In this case, as far as the expiration of that contract, I'm looking for a short bounce back. That's what the trade plan is. I don't need a month or 2 weeks or whatever for this to really bounce back. I'm looking for something V-bottom that bounces back pretty quickly. As such, I'm choosing my expiry to also control my risk. So Abed, I know that probably doesn't answer the question like a blanket answer, but I hope that's helpful. I try to do that in a lot of things. The Tesla trade, how much time do I have? Plenty of time. The Tesla trade here, this was another one where when I bought this with added time on it. I bought this back in April and it was the May expiry. And I thought to myself, well, Tesla might have to make this huge move up. It made a move up, but it made a move down, which really sapped these. And then it started to move back up again. And I thought to myself, well, if this moves next week, it's probably not going to get back to where I opened that position. So might as well add to those calls that I already own. If we get a bounce back, I should be able to sell it, maybe break even, maybe make some money. If not, I'm not really spending a whole lot because those calls really kind of fell out of bed. So again, everything about me selecting what I'm going to buy has to do with how much risk I want to put on the table. That's the common thread here in all of this. How much of my own money do I want to put at risk for something that may or may not happen? Let me know if that helps at all, if that helps answer your question at all. Okay, 13, where are we going next?
KDLY is making new highs in the pre-market. This running to the open here would be the kind of stock I'd be careful with trading at the open. I think this could be one that maybe gets a pop out of the gate and then comes in, but I think this is going to see some pullback here when we open, unless we get some more of it before before the bell. But when it runs up into the open like this, I'm going to be extra careful with it. The other ones that haven't done it, like GRYP, and that might be better to trade out of the open. CTMX may also be better if I can hold above its VWAP, but those aren't necessarily ripping into the open, so they look a little bit better or less risky. I think when you run up into the open like this, you tend to get the sellers stepping in right away. So I think I'd be a little bit more cautious with KDLY versus the others at the open.
Okay. 13, we're going to have a busy day on our hands. I actually want to step away for a sec before we open here. What would you like me to put up while I'm gone? I'll be gone about 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I saw somebody asking about Broadcom earlier. If you want to baby GO, and I could just take a look at that.
Sure. Do you want the daily chart or would you like an intraday chart on that?
Daily's fine.
Okay. Here's Broadcom. Here's your daily chart. Let me make... Okay, Ryan, you have to click on the D. Oh, that's going to get clipped. I'm in big trouble now. Okay, here's your Broadcom daily chart. I'll be right back 1 sec before we open.
Oh, do your worst, producer. Anyway, so Broadcom here, running up into the 220 area, and that's about where this consolidation begins from when we were topping out after Trump was elected. So you got this big gap up in December, kind of just went sideways at about this level. It's closer to about 218, 219, but we'll just say 220 just to make it easy on us. And that's been the support area that has been trying to hold up. We did lose it and recapture it in January, but then when we get then in February, it really started to go down and just continue to get hammered with the tariff announcement, Liberation Day. This almost hit into its 500-day SMA, and this represented a pretty significant pullback. So it was giving some pretty attractive prices. This was off down 44, almost 45% off the high it made in December. So looks like it's turning around. Could argue that there's an inverse head and shoulders on this one, though. It's a little bit janky. I'm not sure I would necessarily call it that, but getting through 220 is going to be a big level here. Hasn't really popped up above the close we had on Friday too much, but that 220 area from when we did get up in that area to make the highs. That's what I'm going to be watching for to recapture. I think we do get it, but I don't know if it's going to happen today, but it should happen soon.
Okay. I'm back. Good stuff there. We got a couple of seconds left. I see a couple of people asking about Mr. ticker MSTR. That is strategy, micro strategy. I'm, of course, going to start off with the call to the wild. Where on earth is Jay Diamond? I was told that this stuff is all going to zero. Where is he? I don't understand what's happening here. JK, though, we are above the 383.40 level that we had identified as a really kind of a key level here. We've done a really good job holding above it. It sure seems to me like this is going to try and go for this 440 spot. We're currently sitting here at 420. Don't forget about the 544 all-time high. Please don't forget about this. We might attack that here with MicroStrategy. Also, courtesy of bitbo.io. MicroStrategy is the proud owner of 555,450 Bitcoin. That represents 2.645% of the entire outstanding stash and has a market value of $57.7 billion. We're talking about banana land numbers, folks. Banana land.
440 is the big resistance area that I've got.
We're open. Good morning, Amanda.
Hello.
Yassine wants to take a look at Sezzle. That thing is also still popping. We will take a look at this. Let's see what we got. Oh,
All
no.
right.
Do I really have? Let me try. I can't believe that the chart just died here. That is insanity.
So NXTT starting to move out of the gate here, trying to get up to its VWAP. KDLY, that's trying to get going here, going up to the pre-market high of 31.69. This one is the one I'm wanting to be careful with. And now we're starting to get some more of a pull there in that one. GRYP, that looks like that's trying to get going as well. This might actually end up halting. And it's halted. GRYP is halted to the upside. Okay. So let's see what else we got here. And then KDLY, that had a much bigger pull. It pulled it down to 27.29. Now it looks like it's starting to move here a little bit more. This thing's all over the place.
Sold partial Google calls right on the open. That actually is trying to go higher. I'm going to hold the rest. Sorry, 13.
No worries. Just looking around here. Okay, so looks like there is some selling in some names here out of the open, especially ones that have run up into the open. And getting some pull in TQQQ.
Okay. I'm going to wait a little bit here on the TSLL calls. Those calls that I have, by the way, are the 12 calls. So I really don't want those to fall out of the money. TSLL 1265 here. Really don't want that to change. Okay.
KDLY halted to the downside. So there you go, folks. The thing that I was concerned about is happening. This is the run up into the open. The seller stepped in. Not saying this thing's done, but let's just be patient. Let's wait for a setup. This is still got some more room to go down, it looks like.
First move here is down. Joseph saying morning sell-off like you guys predicted. This is the profit taking that we talked about, that we are getting this. The next question, Joseph, is this just profit taking, or does this materialize into more of a sell-off? You're saying I'm buying dips at some point. I would throw the call out to the group here. Folks, if you're buying dips on this move down, let the group know. I know a lot of us are trying to figure out the same thing here today. Let's maybe help each other out. Dugan is saying, give it a few minutes, Ryan. This early dip is short-lived. I think the same thing here, Dugan. That is also why I just wanted to sell partial. I'm actually going to do this in 3 tranches today as far as the Google calls go. The first tranche is done, so now the position's protected. The rest of this, again, I do think that we turn back up. You might have also been talking about Tesla. We'll see if that turns around here too. The Tesla position, not as big as the Google position, so not terribly worried about that. Okay, what else do we have? Izzy saying, I will buy dips. Izzy, what did you do with Amazon? Did you hold Amazon over the weekend? Because if you did, I'd be curious to know if you are going to sell into that. Funky Cold Stocks, do you guys have suggestions on how to handle a halt up? Would you have stops in and sell place? And are they looser? So 13, I want to hear how you trade some of these halt fest stocks. I feel like you do a better job than I do. on it. One of the things that I do is if I'm in a stock that gets halted to the upside, I will often put an order out as soon as it opens. In order lower to protect myself if I feel that I have to. If I feel like the stock's got more momentum and it might pop, I might throw one out to try and get hit if it ends up going up out of the halt.
Yeah, so more times than not, when we start the whole process of these halts, usually the first three are the ones that I feel the most comfortable trading, because that's usually going to be in that same direction for those three halts. So if it's a halt to the upside, more times than not, I'm not going to say always, but more times than not, the next, if it halts again, it's going to likely be to the upside for the next two times. And then you're going to see the sell-off, which will lead to likely some more halts. So I typically will, if I'm going to be playing these halts, I usually only do the first three. And then in order to protect yourself, I'll also determine where you want to, define your risk so that you know where you'd be comfortable stopping out at, and create orders to jump in or jump out, however you're going to do it, using OSOs or OCOs or order cancels order or order sends order. They're also called bracket orders. So basically, if you get a fill, there's an automatic order that also gets triggered to put a stop and a limit order to sell. So you can also try doing that, and that'll give you basically some instant protection to the downside if the stock opens and immediately sells off. So it's really just going to be they're very risky. So maybe don't bet the farm if you're going to try to play these, but get some practice under your belt to test your theories. I always like to do the first three, like I said. So start there with the first three halts out of the open. We'll see what we get. We have GRYP and KDLY that are halted right now. One's to the upside, one's to the downside. Let's see where they go.
By the way, here's the trade desk chart. What a move off the bottom here on the trade desk. I don't have any of this at the moment. If I did, I'd for sure be selling into this. Also worth noting here, if you're like me and you missed this, pay attention to this 85 break. That is actually a gap that fills up at 118. That is 85 to 118. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do that right away, but at least keep that on your radar here for another possible move.
GRYP is open. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was open for a moment, and then it was halted to the downside. So that opened, and it gave back everything that it
did. That really?
Yeah, it was just really quick like that. So let's see what we get out of this next one. So far, first halt didn't work. That's fine. I'm not trying to play these particular halts right now. KDLY should be unhalting pretty soon, and that one, the expectation for me on this one is that we go down some more. So let's see if we end up getting that. CTMX. This is the one that we've got to be careful with, because they have an offering at 130 that they're planning on exercising by tomorrow. So that's went down. It's got a bit of a trend line that's trying to break through. So we'll see if that ends up happening. And then NXTT, this is trying to recapture its VWAP right now, getting up to some of this support that the pre-market was getting, both resistance and support, it looks like. We're actually looking for this one to I think, Ryan, you were kind of alluding to this, a potential head and shoulders around the 550 area.
Yep.
So that's what we were looking for the price to go up to, about somewhere between 5 and 550 before it runs into resistance. So not quite there yet.
Crocodile Dumb Me is saying, my head is spinning. I don't know what to do. Oh, well, I'll just watch.
Just watch. Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, though. There's no reason your head should be spinning. We'll be fine. By the way, poll results from the show before we opened here. Tesla sentiment / next move. FSD catalyst higher, 28%. Robotaxi catalyst higher, 28%. I think Tesla will go lower. I'm bearish, 24%. And even with the catalyst, it's going to consolidate here, 19%. So we're seeing a pretty even distribution across our poll. I don't think there's any outlier in that data.
So KDLY is open and it's down lower. No halt here yet, and there's potential for this to turn around. Might see this drift a little bit lower, possibly even touching VWAP before it turns around. But so far, KDLY very much living up to the expectations we had for what's going on with this one.
Okay. Dugan here is saying, Ryan, you see Trump's tweet this morning about now being a good time to buy Tesla. I did not. But if it's anything like his call to buy stocks last week, then it might be a good call. Joseph says, look at FDX. FDX ripping. So we not only did we gap higher here, but getting a little bit of go action on that.
That means the UPS is doing good too.
Yep. Profit taking pullback here on SPY, pretty much right to the 65 EMA on the 5. I've got that at 579.01. We're currently at 578.91. So we're pretty much right there.
KDLY halted to the downside. This is what we were looking for in terms of the multiple halts. So I think if we when we open, the third one is probably going to also be to the downside. I don't know for sure if it's going to halt or not, but it certainly could. And I think we are going to get some more downside before we turn around here in KDLY. So far, that's worked out pretty well.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of really awesome stuff in the chat. There's just so much of it, I can't even call it all out. I'm just going to start giving out register rings. Y'all of you. Really, Ryan?
I like that
really
one. Y'all of you.
I can't even believe I just said that. Y'all are making some great trades here. Izzy, I'm out of everything, waiting for a dip. Okay, you maybe gone fishing here. You probably had a good day there. Lion or Amanda saying, Lion, great minds. I just cashed out Amazon calls too. That means 2 more people here cashing out of Amazon. Izzy, I know you said you had Uber 4-point gap here this morning. Really good stuff. This is what trading is about.
Oh, yeah.
We get big moves like this. Take it. Wait for your next one. Really good stuff here from the group. Soundhound getting mentioned. Kevin Robinson and Dan all over Soundhound. Soundhound up what? Whoa, this is wrong. This percentage here is wrong. Let me see what's going on. Let me actually take a screenshot of that too.
Soundhound up over $10.
13%. Yeah.
Yeah, up over $10. $10. Actually, 10.15 is an area that I had marked off here. It's a previous level, so we're getting support from that now. The next one I have is going to be 10.85. If this continues to hold at at or above 10.15, that 10.85 looks like a possibility. It looks like it's coming next. NXTT, this is continuing to move up to that area we identified as where the potential right shoulder could end up being. As soon as it hits $5, I think that's going to be the spot where we're going to want to wait for this to pull back. GRYP is open, lower, trying to get some support from the VWAP. Let's see what we get out of this. That was a pretty good sized gap down, but it's trying to fill it to the back to the upside. Lots of sellers in the way at 215.
CCG trader cashing out there. Really good stuff.
Nice.
Ryan, you missed my super chat. STFU, bro. If you're going to make me hit literally everything here today, that's crazy. There's so much stuff going on. Pretty sure I called out your super chat anyway.
Lion, thank you. Big move on Zim. This is, the shipping resuming. This is going to certainly move names like Zim. Let me take a look at another name that I know of. Okay, so that went up as well, but not nearly as much, and it doesn't trade as well. SFL Corp, that's one of the tankers I like, but not having the kind of moves that Zim is today. So all the shipper names are going to do pretty well with the news headline over the weekend. So
Amanda here asking, what's happening with Netflix? So this is kind of interesting here. Let me go back to the chart tool. Here's Netflix really not participating with the big pop that we're seeing here today. Netflix down 3%. Amanda, this is what I would offer. This really kind of had a tariff insolency. That's not the right word, but it was a little bit insulated from some of the tariff spat. And it made a huge move recently. I think at this point, you're just getting a little regression back to the mean. To me, it seems like Netflix's move down here today is likely because people are readjusting, thinking that, we don't just need to find things that are not going to be hit by tariffs. I think this might represent a change in sentiment here a little bit. I don't think this is just profit taking.
Yeah. So, well, I think it is not just, but I think
not just profit taking.
I think it's a lot of profit taking because when you've got to consider that when we first put these tariffs on, that's what took the stock down to the lows we made this year in April last month to what is this price here? The lows 821. So since then, we've gone on a 44% run from April 15th. Not even a month yet. Made in less than a month. 42%. Those folks made 42% in less than a month. I think you'd be definitely selling on the news that we're back and we're trying to get back in business with China and the rest of the world. And this was also a recession play. And I think this may, the news today may be alleviating some of those recession fears. So totally would expect some pullback here. How far back do we pull? I think at the very least, we'll go to the 20-day SMA, which is at 1080. At the most, we'll probably go somewhere between, I'd say somewhere between 1,000 and 1,060.
Real quick, while we were talking about that, YHC is going here. Bashir, it looks like you were on this sandwich maneuver. What an awesome name. You were on this one. WIS was hitting this one. YHC, this popped out of the pre-market consolidation area, went right to the VWAP. Remember, this area here we had kind of outlined as a potential support area. Volume telling the story here. So far, finding some resistance here. To me, this is a lighten the load area. We'll see if it ends up moving through this area here.
Okay, so we still have
Mike. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Mike saying came into some money recently, threw it in the market to make some change, looking really good. Timeline is 5 months from now. Would you take some profits here? This sounds to me like the only person that can actually answer that is going to be you, because you had your own goals with that money and your own risk levels that we're not sure of. What I will say is that if you put any amount of money into the market like this and you get an immediate move off of that, I think it's prudent to at least book some of that gain. I don't think you need to change your entire thesis here, but making sure you pay yourself is not mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know what your plan is,
or
how you're diversified. But 5 months from now, just keep in mind, every time that you sell before your timeline, you're creating more tax events. So, well, I would most likely want to take some profit up here, because that would be part of my plan. If I had a sudden big move up here, I'd shave a little bit. But just remember what you're doing. That's you're gonna have to account for in April next year. This is, you are creating tax events, so just stick with your plan. But for me, I think I would be trimming a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so we're still getting some
Jay here. Yeah, sorry. Jay here mentioning you guys need to mention some bio names. We talked a little bit about some of the bio names, Jay, before you were here this morning. It is interesting that some of these have actually bottomed a little bit. So Lilly, which was down here in the pre-market, pretty much right back to even. Let me know, are there any bio names in particular that you're looking for here? Novo Nordisk, this is actually was much weaker than Lilly recently. Even this went back to balance there. Let me know, what bio names are you looking at, and are you adding any of those on the move here today? By the way, SOUN, you guys were just on this, sound ripping and going higher here. I've got 1059 as the next level there. This is look at this. This is a breakout from the inverse head and shoulder. Oh, I hope we get this 13. I really hope we get this here. SOUN.
They still have, I don't remember if SoundHound had Bitcoin, but do they have Bitcoin?
Let's check treasury.bitbo.io. Nope. Well, according to this, it doesn't find any company with the name Sound in it. So no, I do not believe that they do have Bitcoin.
Okay. But yeah, it does look like that's trying to put a reversal pattern in. So if that's going to end up happening, it looks like we're going to get a gap fill starting at about $12. Now let's take a look at some of these movers and see what we get here. Looks like GRYP is open. That's trying to go higher.
Ooh, that was one of those halters. Here you go on GRYP.
And we're still waiting for KDLY to unhalt. I think since GRYP just halted or unhalted, we should be getting KDLY shortly.
Sure looks like 240, your potential breakout spot here, GRYP. Did anyone rebuy short instruments yet?
GRYP is going to halt to the upside now. getting ready to halt. Oh nope, never mind. They kept it moving. It was starting to build up.
You got head faked.
I got head faked. It was starting to build that one position at it was about 230, but it kept moving it.
Did see some Tesla call flow pick up here. Ooh, Spotify got whacked. That is Spotify a buy down here? Y'all folks, let me know. Tesla here might be trying to bounce. Did see some call flow come across here. More call flow now in Tesla.
It looks like they keep trying to halt GRYP, but then it just continues to move.
GRYP, I've got 234, 235 as being one of the high spots of note right here. We're on it and through. Oh my, they actually took a lot of stock that was for sale there. 240 looks to be your next spot here, GRYP.
Yep, 240. Yep.
You see some size there, 13?
Yes, sir.
Yep, me too. It's going to halt right here if it holds at 238.
Yeah. It did this. It did this twice already. So, but this is a much larger size. This might actually halt this time.
Okay, I almost wonder if the next move here is going to be a break through that 240 level. Halted here, GRYP.
There it is. Looks like Netflix is rallying, trying to close this gap here that it created today.
Netflix bouncing back. Tesla's still bouncing here. Okay, market is starting to bounce here. 579 reclaimed off that first move down.
KDLY, it's back open now. Went down to VWAP, trying to get some support.
Look at that, right on the VWAP.
Yep.
Oh.
So let's, I don't necessarily think I'd want to jump in it right now. This could end up being a bear flag. So I'm just going to be patient. I don't even know if I'll end up trading it, but I need to see this recapture some levels before I get excited about this. Good spot if you're going to try to play the bounce. And that bounce might take it up to about 25, but still want to be careful with this one because it's been moving. Look at the spread. The spread's really, really large. So
yeah,
I'd have to
actually let me put that up in my other window here. I had GRYP. Oh my God, 13. This is spread like crazy.
Yeah. So be very, very careful with KDLY. It does look like it would be a good balance play here, but and up to 25. But it's trying to get a fill and.
I'll tell you what, that spread changes too. I had that there from about 20 cents, and all of a sudden it was 70 plus.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, 13. Be very careful on that one. Yeah,
I think there might be some better names to trade on. But if you're feeling feisty, then KDLY might be the one for you.
This is a good question here. Joseph Schmo, is asking, is it possible that UNH found its minimum? Okay, so we're going to call it a bottom just to keep the parlance here the same. So this is one of the things that we've been looking at on UNH. Okay, we have been kind of trying to look at trends here. Joe, simply put, I would say no. I do not feel confident that we have found a bottom here yet. We have not. We've actually increased the downtrend here, just kind of looking at this last one. If I zoom into this recent price action and we retrend line this, we haven't shown any break of downtrend at all. I would say no, this is still hunting for a bottom. Now, could it have put in the bottom today and we just don't know yet? Yeah, sure. But looking at what we see here on the chart, I don't see any reason to feel confident that we've bottomed yet on UNH.
Yeah, so when and to Ryan's point about bottoming, I would look at the price action that we've had since April 21st after we had those two big drops. So far, we've got maybe just a few days of sideways action before we take the next leg down, and it's kind of been the case for this stock whenever it tries to search out a bottom. So I would need to see maybe a trading week's worth of sideways price action before I'd feel confident with there being a bottom in, because it seems like after we go lower, we spend a few days searching for trying to put a bottom in, only to have the price go even lower following that. So I would need to see some more sideways price action in this one.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff there. Lion here is saying, too many winners. I can't stand it. Okay, Lion, look, you've been a great asset to this room. There's no question about it. But I'm very disappointed. If you are winning too much that you can no longer stand it, I don't think that you should be invited back tomorrow. All we do here is about winning. There is literally no such thing as too much winning. So check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself.
Jeez.
I had to.
Brian keeping it funky fresh.
I had to. I don't know what to say. Had to. There's no such thing as too much winning, guys. We'll win all day. Come on now.
Looks like CTMX is really starting to lose a little altitude here. Maybe even going to print the new low of the session. I was asked about YHC. Thoughts on this?
Look at HIMS. Look at the move on HIMS. HIMS up 12.5% here. Okay, let me put YHC up here.
I'm trying to remember what this one was about. This looks like it's a junky name of some kind.
Yeah, this was off the movers list earlier. We didn't really have anything on this one. Let me see if I had anything else. No news. Looks like a terrible company, like the bottom of the barrel type stuff, which is why it's up 225%. By the way, that came from our producer, which got much deserved compliments earlier.
It's gone through the whole NASDAQ recompliance process. It's done a reverse split. It did a 35 for 1 last month. I'm sure a capital raise is probably going to end up coming here at some point. This company loses millions a quarter. Doesn't have the money to. Okay, yeah, this one is going to raise some capital. I'm pretty sure of it. So let's not get ourselves caught in this one when they have to do an offering, because that seems like it's going to be coming here at some point.
YHC off that impulse move right back to the VWAP there. So the sale at the VWAP and that first move here, that seemed to work. We did go up towards that pre-market high, and although we couldn't take it out, we did trade up there. I see Trump talking right now. Looks like he's in the Oval Office there. They're carrying it on CNBC. I can't hear what they're saying, so I'm not really sure. S&P futures here look like they're still trying to tick up from the profit-taking pull that we had out of the open. Anthony has informed me that he can't come back tomorrow because he has in fact won too much.
That's okay. Sometimes you need to take a day off.
And Lion, we're just goofing around. We're trying to put some smiles on people's faces. You're of course invited back.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's trading appropriately and doing really well, there's smiles across everybody's face right now.
Izzy, appreciate this. Way to keep your head in Wayne Gretzky mode. Where's the puck going? Uber weak today. Surprising on a day given what the market is doing here. Indeed, Uber is weak. So here's what I would ask you, Izzy. Where's the buy spot here on Uber? We're getting some weakness here on a day where the market is relatively strong. What does that tell us about this? To me, one of the areas that I really want to see Uber hold here is this 82, right? We kind of back tested this area already. This was a previous resistance area that sent us down 20 plus points from this area. So I'd really like to see this hold here. What do you think, Izzy? If 82 holds here today, might Uber be a potential buy?
So KDLY, this is starting to come back down towards its VWAP. This is the pattern I was a little concerned about. It was like I was expecting a bit of a bounce. We got that. Now we're starting to get this to weaken some more. I think if it does lose its VWAP, support's going to come down around $18, somewhere in that handle. So that would be a loss on VWAP. And with regard to Uber selling, and same thing with Netflix and Spotify. If they were running up into this past weekend we just had, and they've been doing really, really well, I'd expect those really well, those good names to have more selling than some of these ones that have been weaker. I think that people are going to be buying the weak names and selling the strong ones. And this Uber and Spotify and Netflix, those are all weak names. Or I'm sorry, those are all strong names. So the strong names getting sold.
Looking at Google here, just noticed this on the option scanner here. Did see some TEM calls come through here. These Google was actually puts. There were multiple there. Looks like they started buying some Tesla puts as well, although that's holding in pretty well so far. Izzy says stay away from Uber. CA Forsman asking, does Trump actually paint his face orange? So I've been wondering this too. I understand like the orange man bad comments and all of that stuff. Like what's actually going on with the orange color? Like is it like a health thing? Is it makeup? What is it, Chris? I don't know the answer to that. Just wondering.
Someone asked him Orange, you going to cut tariffs. I don't know. It was a bad joke, but that orange.
I see what you tried to do there, though.
That orange face thing. I don't know. He always ends up looking like an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't understand why he continues to think that the spray tan is working. But
is that all it is? Is just a spray tan? I don't know. I'm asking. I honestly don't know.
It's just natural complexion. Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
No, it's. I mean, I don't get it. I mean,
I don't get it.
He's got to know that everybody mocks him for it, but I guess he's embracing it. Anyway, I don't know how to trade his orange face.
Supposedly it's bronzer. Okay, well.
Yeah.
I believe it's a self tanner. Yeah, that makes sense.
So he can look just like his statue.
Maybe Trump eats too many carrots. Webcoin says Trump is orange due to time traveling too much. Now, I don't think that's true, but part of me wonders if bronzer, makeup, whatever it is that's used is used because his schedule is so crazy. I mean, weren't some of you saying he's going to be in Saudi Arabia tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
he wanted to get ready for that.
Anyway. Real quick here, Lion mentioning CEP. Lion, I'm all wrapped up with that trade. I'm out of that trade now. I did not re-enter it. Given what you're saying here, though, I'll tell you what, this 5-minute chart sure looks like there's more bearishness ahead. And 13. Do we have a head and shoulders on this 5 sending us lower here? Maybe. Lion, I have no position here on CEP. We wrapped that trade up at a pretty big gain last week. Congrats if you're still in that.
Yeah, guys, one last thing about about Trump's spray tan. You'd think that with, being a president and, having a lot of money and having all kinds of access to probably the best dermatologists in the world, you'd think that he'd be guided into something that doesn't look like he just got, pelted in the face with a bunch of oranges. But anyway, that's something we can ponder another time. There's stocks to trade right now.
There is, and it's already been an interesting morning so far. We've got more to go there. CEP actually looks like this might be rolling, though, Lion. We might be rolling over here. YHC flirting with the VWAP again here. GRYP, what are we? So that is resolving higher. Yep.
This is another good one.
Is that other one still halted?
No, they're all unhalted now.
Okay. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So KDLY.
KDLY. Thank you.
That's still looking like it's potentially bear flagging here. Looking to see if we break above. If we break above 27, then that's an invalidation of that flag. If we lose the VWAP, then I'd say that's a confirmation. GRYP. This thing is looking for 3. Get ready for this to halt if it has a breakout here. Looks like some of these names that we're selling this morning are starting to bounce back. GRYP is looking strong, says smoked tuna. It's called the rich man glow. Line out is saying Target's moving big. Probably, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Target, and let's also look at Walmart too. Basically, ones that are affected. Oh, Walmart not up. The ones that are affected by tariffs the most, those retailers, I think would be the ones to take a look at. But Walmart still lower, looking for some 20-day SMA support. That's going to be at 95.90.
GRYP starting to heat up to the upside, and you might be asking yourself, well, why did that all of a sudden happen into this another upside halt? That's because Tuna blessed it. Tuna's in here saying that it looks strong. As soon as he sent this thing started to take off, halted now, 285 to the upside, GRYP. 13, I'm looking at this here. We're pretty much right at the, $2.90, $3 resistance level. The next one here is that pre-market high, $4.92.
Yeah, maybe. I don't want to make a prediction on this because that was a big impulsive move, and going from the and we didn't close anywhere near that. We closed down at like way less than half that 492 price. So I don't know exactly where this runs up to. It'd be interesting if it did get up to 492 again, but I don't know if it will.
KDLY, this bounced off of its VWAP. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this $25 to $27 area, I actually think is pretty important. I think if we don't take this out, we might roll back over and retest that VWAP there.
Yep, I think so too. That's why I'm looking at 27 to invalidate the bear flag, and even potentially this head and shoulders. It's kind of doing this.
A1, I missed this comment when you first had this. It's not bronzer, it's the media putting filters on his face. Are they pulling a CNN Joe Rogan? Are they line stepping like CNN did? That would be wild. That would be wild. That would be wild. I don't think that's the case, but that would be something else. They did it with Rogan. I'm sure they'd do it with Trump.
They're going to Snapchat your face. Looking for some other stuff here besides these four. There's FRGTs with a trying to come off a big pull here. This thing popped all the way up to 215 and went right back to where it started before the impulse move.
Wow, that gave everything back. What else do we have moving? Let me take a quick look at what's going on. What's going on with this one? INHD, Inno Holdings. This is moving on expanding volume here. This volume's not crazy, though. Only 1.2 million shares. Did we have news? We did. Announces strategic cooperation with New Life Technology on development of cutting-edge B2B marketplace platform. Stock is up 100% on the back of that news there. That's ticker INHD.
This looks like a China name.
You know what? I didn't even check that. You might be right on that.
Kowloon, Hong Kong.
Bang, there it is. I actually clicked. Okay, so this little thing that you see on my screen, the company homepage, when I click through, this is what I get.
All right. Have fun.
Yep. Okay, careful with this one. At least we know now. At least that's enough. At least that's enough information to know one way or another.
Disney strong. Let's look at Disney. Is this one? Because let me look at this daily chart here. Was this one of the ones that was wasn't running like some of these other, like Netflix was, but it, coming off a bottom. This probably wasn't as weak. This is and having some really big gap days. It wouldn't surprise me if this ended up going up to somewhere in the 112 handle before we found resistance. So you're on that one. I think you've been on that one for a while. You've been doing great, my man. Been killing it on Disney. Look at when he gets on one of his Air Force flights. More white color during live coverage. It's funny they do it. Interesting. Interesting that they're doing them dirty like that, but
okay.
I guess when you live in the free world, you can do whatever you want to our president.
That's true.
Can is also moving. There's a name we haven't heard from in a while. So I guess, this is up 19%.
CAN, this is Canon. Yeah, we've traded this one a whole bunch.
This is the one that makes the ant miners, the mining machines for Bitcoin. Now, I don't necessarily think that mining is Bitcoin mining is hot like it was back in 2020. But I'll say this: if we can maybe get another retest of 65 cents, if this pulls back, I think that the pullback might be interesting. I don't think this is if we're going to trade this, I don't think now is quite the time. We'll see. It's still less than $1, so it's not that interesting to me right now anyway. But this has had a massive sell-off since December, and it looks like it's trying to find turn around off the bottom. Thanks for bringing this up. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, so GRYP, that unhalted, gave a little pop up to the 295 area and then sold and halted back down. We're currently around 272. NXT XTT. This is putting in new lows for the session, heading towards the pre-market lows. That value is 303. Looks like some things are starting to weaken a little bit here.
Market's still holding here, 597 there on the SPY. I still have GRYP halted here at 272.
It just got into that halt not that long
Okay.
ago. It unhalted and halted again.
Mazrur, excuse me. I mispronounce this all the time. Guys, is there any tool which should show the intraday movers, like after 30 minutes of trading, some tickers become a rocket, which were not in the pre-market movers list? Yes. Yes, there is. It's in Benzinga Pro. It's literally called movers. There's a tool there called movers. Now, you see us talking about this pretty regularly for the pre-market. It's also worth noting you can actually click on the regular session. You can even change the period here to 30 minutes. This will show you all of the stocks that are moving over the past 30 minutes. Our biggest mover over that time frame is GRYP. Mazrur, if you do not have a Benzinga Pro subscription, I think that this now marks the third or fourth question you have asked about how to do something that Benzinga Pro does for you. If you do not have this subscription yet, please talk to James and end that here today. Frank, I sent out the invite, have not heard from him. I will check in. Good to see you, Frank. Good morning.
Well, things are looking a little slow at the moment.
I thought you were just trying to troll people there for a sec. I was like, this has been a monster morning so far here today.
No, just looking at some of these movers that we were trading today. They've really lost their volume, or they're halted, and we can't trade them right now. CTMX, this has continued to go lower all morning. I don't think it's recovering yet. Maybe after we have a test of 160, but still don't know for sure. NXT also lower. KDLY, that's trying to break out here. So we'll see if we get this.
It is trying higher. We'll see.
And we'll see if we can get this to turn around here, or if this is going to end up forming the right shoulder. We need to see a break and hold over 27.
Amanda mentioning Civi here, which was a Tim Melvin pick. This has been straight up since he talked about it. You're right about that, Amanda. Register ring for that.
That trying to recapture its 50-day SMA. And what's Bitcoin doing right now? Polling, it looks like. Even crypto is getting pulled back from all the excitement. Pony AI, that's trying to get back over its VWAP. Volume could be better. As a matter of fact, I think volume could be better in a lot of these names.
TAOP, your penny runner maybe of the day here. NXTT, see if that continues to break down here. Hey, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Yo, Steve, this is, I didn't even know about. Steve saying, for those of you that don't have Pro, Rakuten is offering 15% cash back on subscriptions, which makes your first year even cheaper. Check it out. Steve, I didn't even think about that. What a great idea. What a nice little pro tip there for our group from Steve. Great to see you again, by the way.
KDLY still needs some more movement here, but I'm watching the MACD on this one. No crossing yet, but if we do break over 27, we could end up getting that. It seems like KDLY might have the most potential for a run, but it's got some, boxes to check first here before I jump in it.
Mesruer saying, that's my first question about, well, you may have asked another question that I related to Pro slyly. Nonetheless, glad that helped. Lion, you're done for the day already. That's the early day, baby. That's the early day. Bang, bang, bang.
Uh-oh. E-Rock is saying MLGO is going. It's moving. See, even these junky names can have fun on days like this. Yeah, it certainly is moving. Let's see. Coming up to a potential resistance level around 275. After that, looks like 3, to be honest.
Daniel's asking if Webull is a great or is a good broker. Daniel, I've never used it, so I don't have any experience. 13 does. He'll be able to give you his experience with it. Different for everybody, though. Here's GRYP. This is open and moving lower, it looks like.
Yeah, I use Webull, but I'm looking for something else. I think the tools are fine, everything. I just don't like the association it has with China.
There you go. STFU agrees with you, says he doesn't trust it.
Yeah. GRYP is open. Looks like it's halted to me. So this thing doesn't really move a whole lot before it's halted again. Now, this might be just pulling back before it makes its next move up. In order for us to know if that's going to happen, I think it'd have to hold above 240.
Okay.
KDLY, that was trying to get going over 25. Pulled back a little bit, still above its VWAP, but
look at NBIS. This has made such a good move off that low 20 handle. Ugh. By the way, SPY 580. So here we spoke a lot, well, maybe not a lot, but we spoke about possible profit taking move. Guys, this is what it looks like. Sorry, guys and gals, folks, this is what it looks like. All right. We had this nice little drift higher here in the pre-market. Here's your profit taking move. We're consolidating here. Now it's starting to bend back up. Just saying. Keep an eye on that. STFU mentioning CCL here. CCL higher. This looks like a gap and go, but this actually might be trying to break out and go higher here. We'll see.
NBIS, this one could end up going to its 200-day SMA like it's done before, and then get it rejected. You can just go look at a daily chart. You'll see that that's what's happened. That what happened back in February. So could happen again. That'd be $35 is about where that resistance is. It's actually just several cents lower. 34.94 is where the 200-day SMA is, but it could go up to 95. Also, the RSI is very extended, over 70. Be careful with NBIS, especially up here. We could see some pullback before we try to test that 200-day SMA. All right.
Benzinga, help. Our stocks with large spreads. I put in a limit order to sell at market, and once ordered, all the price changes lower. I put in the new market, sell at that, and price moves up. Joe, I don't think I know what you're talking about. It actually sounds like order shenanigans that has to do with the broker. Right? Like you're putting in, that's the order flow. You're saying you put an order out there and then you see stuff shift above it. That's the order flow, right? That's the broker seeing your order.
And you're saying you do a limit order to sell at market.
Yeah, so that
was a confusing part for me because there's two types of orders you can. Well, there's multiple kinds, but two big types are.
I think what he means is like a stop or some type of limit that's triggered that then sells at market.
Oh, like an order.
See, like when I put a limit order in and I say, let's just say sell stock XYZ at 266. It only sells it at 266. It's not as if 266 hits and then it triggers the order and sells it at whatever. It sells it only at 266. Partial on TSLL. We'll hold the rest.
Hey, Joseph Schmo, NBIS. I agree with you, but I was kind of riding this move up a little bit. I just jumped out of it, but this has been going a little bit of a move. It's still going too. Could go as high as 35 before we get some pullback here. But this isn't one to be chasing. I was just scalping it a little bit. And this thing's still moving up. And that's pretty much the only one that was looking like any kind of fun. because everything else is very slow. Although Soundhound is coming up to the high of the day, that high being 1058. We are currently trading at 1054. It's 10:18. We've got about 12 minutes left before our the time where we expect folks to start getting up from their desks.
I put in a sell order at market price. After entered all the price change, and my order is entered, often significantly for stocks with large spreads.
So if you're doing a limit order and you're trying to get it at the market price and you're not getting filled, keep in mind that you're basically in line to have your order picked up. Or are you buying, or I'm sorry, was that buying or the sell order? Okay. So if you're selling at with a limit order, it's going to hit all those orders in front of you first. So if the volume's not enough, or if there are not enough buyers, you're not going to get your fill, and your price is going to end up coming back down.
Amanda making another good point here. If you're putting these in during the extended hours, that means the pre-market or the after hour, then those stops aren't going to work.
Yeah, only works in market.
That was a really good point there, Amanda.
Regular session. You can only do limit orders in the after hours or extended trading.
Dugan, how about Dugan? Are you still out there? How about your call from this morning? Pretty darn good. He was saying that just wait it out. Tesla here, these are just profit takers. I've done exactly as he said, and it's worked so far. Good call, Dugan. Jane says 10:30 was when I go smoke at work. Now I don't work or smoke. There you go, Jane.
Wow.
You can have tea instead.
I've that's gonna be the first person I've ever heard of where stocks made them stop smoking.
I don't know if that's what she said, but we'll go with that. By the way, seeing a whole bunch of Tesla call flow here, Dugan. So in addition to this bouncing back, just like you said it would, we're actually seeing some increased call flow on top of that now.
MLGO looking bull flag. Well, you trade that if you want. We know what MLGO can do. CA Forsman's looking for 2672 on Kindly. It's interesting because we're Brian and I are also looking for about 27 because we're looking for that right shoulder in this Kindly pattern here.
Yep. I'm gonna laugh a lot if that holds up here.
Well, I mean, so far we're coming down to VWAP right now. We may end up getting a resolution here. It's a smaller shoulder, but it would be a head and shoulders nonetheless. Now, if we do lose VWAP, the first stop that I'd be keeping an eye on is going to be not like an order stop, but where the price will come down to. To me, that looks like about 1850.
STFU says, I've seriously considered quitting smoking. You should. Y'all should. I've missed more price action because of cigarettes than anything else. Them expensive cigarettes. Those also taxing your life too. I'm not here to preach though. Sorry. I guess I did. So I will formally apologize for doing so. KDLY, watch out. Watch out. We break through this 20 and a half. Ooh, I don't know.
It's trying to hold up that 20 spot. It's pulling back up above VWAP. But man, this thing is spready.
So Jay bringing up an interesting point here. Palantir, Jay saying another growth darling is red here today. Palantir did participate in the move initially, but has since gone green to red. Jay, let me ask you, does this tell you anything else? Is this a comment on the diversification away from some of the Mag 7 names? Or maybe some of the large cap tech names into kind of a broadening out? What does this signal to you? Maybe it doesn't signal that to you. What does it signal to you?
Well, this was just another one of those that had a big run after Liberation Day and into this past weekend. I just think that all of these names that have had a big run since Liberation Day off the bottom into this weekend, they're going to be the weaker ones.
By the way, you brought up a good point there. You kind of reminded me. Here is the start of Liberation Day, 565. We're currently at 579. We are higher than we were prior to this big down move. Okay. We're higher than that. Was all the hand wringing worth it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this was absolutely a buying opportunity. And those that did exactly as we said and did not panic sell ended up winning.
Yeah, I was buying a lot. But
remember, folks, remove your emotion from trading. Cancel out some of the noise.
I didn't buy everything I wanted, but I did. I was nibbling a lot. Because you can't ignore that weakness, especially weakness that quick. So pick some up when I could. And it's because I was also thinking that I didn't buy as much, because I was also thinking there was more downside potentially to go.
Sure.
There still very well could be.
Absolutely. And we'll be ready for that as well. Jay, answering my direct question, no, Ryan, just some rotation. Shop, Palantir, Netflix, they're rotating to some of the weaker names like pharma and solar. Retail is also blasting off. Now, that's interesting because retail were some of these names that were really hit on some of the China news when it first came out here. Here's a really good example. Lululemon plus almost 9% here today. This thing was 280 on Friday. We did more than just recapture 300 here today. We have 330.49 as a pretty important level here. And guess what? We are in the gap, folks. Mind that gap. This puppy fills up here 333. Tree on Lulu if it fills that gap.
Speaking of gaps, Nike gap down on Liberation Day. And now it's got back up to almost where it was before Liberation Day. We're also flirting with the 50-day SMA.
We're about a point away. Yeah. Okay.
So fun stuff.
NXTT, this is basically that. That got rejected right there at the VWAP. Brandon saying, how long do you guys hold trades on average? I've switched recently from quick in and out trades to more of a 1 to 3 day approach and had much more success. So first of all, Brandon, couple of things here. The bigger picture thing here is that you're recognizing something that did not work for you. Switch something relatively small until it did work for you, and then you stuck with that. This is something that you're going to want to do throughout your entire career here in the market, despite what anyone else does. So good job to you on that. I recently with some of just kind of going back to the whole Liberation Day tariff thing, I too have been kind of focusing on shorter term trades. Day trading became a little bit, there were like more head fakes. I felt like I would look like something was materializing. It wouldn't. And I'd end up getting slapped from that. So I like your approach here, the 1 to 3 day approach. What I've been doing there is I've been trying to take cheaper options and kind of nibble on them. The hope here is that, well, first of all, if you take cheaper options, you're limiting your risk right from the outset of the trade. That's number one. Number two, we're seeing these big volatile moves. So some of those cheaper options can actually make substantial moves and be worth it, even in smaller size. And so I kind of let the market tell me what's going on. I'm not so much interested in some of these little junkier names that we talk about every day. I've more been focusing on TQQQ and SQQQ. By the way, I haven't even looked at those today because we had so much stuff going on.
They're not ready yet.
Okay, so they're not ready yet. So I've just been kind of adjusting what I've been doing based on what the market is giving me. If you're seeing more success doing less trading, but maybe being a little bit more tactical and holding them for 1 to 3 days, I think that's the right answer, no matter what anyone else is doing. Keep repeating what puts more money in your pocket.
Yeah, going from day trading to swing trading, it's sometimes the change is what all somebody needs to just go from one style to the next. Personally, for me, swing trading hasn't worked out for me the way that I would like. So the things that have worked out for me have been day trades and very long-term investing. So that's what I've stuck with. Not trying to reinvent the wheel or force myself to learn something new. I probably could do better on these swing trades if I spent more time refining my strategy. But I'm perfectly comfortable with just doing day trades and long-term investing. Works out just fine for me. So you do what works for you.
Well said.
Sound is gone red.
SQQQ popping here. Markets did break that 578.
So with SoundHound, we got up to we kind of double topped here intraday. So we're starting to pull back here now. There is a support level that it's coming down to right now, about 1035-ish. We lose that, we're going to be looking at the VWAP as the next support, and of course 1015 as well. Those would be the areas, the VWAP and 1015 level, that would, if we lose that, then I think that we're the price is in trouble. We also have the MACD showing that it could curl and cross to the downside. So if we get all that, I think that this goes back under 10, maybe down to 10. So now we're starting to get some selling here in some of these names. NXTT is breaking down even further. I think this is about to get a head and shoulders resolution here. I think you pointed this one out earlier.
NXTT?
Yeah. I think you pointed out this pattern earlier. We're about to get a resolution of that. That could likely take this under 3.
Yep.
Probably go down to 250, maybe even more. GRYP also down to its VWAP as well. Lots of things getting a pull here, and once you know it, we're about a minute away from 1030. So volume is going to be leaving the market. GRYP losing VWAP. What else is falling here? Looks like Kindly isn't taking too kindly to the rest of the market right now.
There we go. That's what we needed.
Looks like this is going to test its VWAP again here pretty soon. It might actually fall through it this time. So all the names that we've been looking at this morning that were on multiple 100% runners, they're all either testing their VWAP or they're losing it now.
Bitcoin is pulling. Indeed, Bitcoin is pulling here off of where it was trading. Here, let me actually bring up the Bitcoin chart. We can take a look at that together here. Where was that? Oh, Lord.
STFU saying NXTT is a slinky, so it's rolling down the stairs. That's what you're saying.
Here's the crypto chart. We're going to start with the daily here. This just kind of gives you an idea of where we pulled back to. This was the area from Friday. Here's what it looks like intraday. You can see we did just lose this area down here. I've got this at maybe 103.5. Yeah, 103.5 down here. That seems to be the area that we lost. Bitcoin coming back in a little bit.
There has to have been news tied to that. That seems like a really massive pull.
Let's see if I see anything here. EU will pay to President Trump. Other countries paying for drugs. I don't think any of that has to do with Bitcoin. There's labor market. Yeah, I don't see.
Okay, it's got to be the keeping rates stable at the current restrictive level. If there's anything
that's not really a surprise to anybody, though, is it?
I don't think it's a surprise.
Yeah,
I think that position is just weighing on risk. So keeping rates the same. I don't think the market wants to hear rates staying where they are. They want to hear about when we're going to cut.
Yeah. See, right now, the uncertainty that's still out there is still in, when are rates getting cut? That's why it's tied to all the inflation figures like the CPI and all that. So I think you're right. It wants certainty on that either way, 13. I think you're on with that. Izzy's asking if I'm still playing Chewy. Yes, but I haven't done a whole lot in here. I basically nibbled a small position. Those were the June calls. So I have plenty of time here on this. Let me give you a quick update here real quick. The nibble the start of those, I paid $228 for those calls. It's currently $203 offer. So we're down 25 cents here on the first batch there. No big deal. And frankly, Izzy, the other thing about Chewy here is that there was a lot of other stuff going on that needed my attention first. I didn't even really look at this. I'm almost tempted to add a little bit here to Chewy. Because real quickly, just to kind of go back to what I was looking at here, let me just remind you of the thesis on this one. And we'll start by doing that here at the chart. Here you go. This is what we're looking at. We were clearly in an uptrend here. Something is happening. 40 is a key level. It definitely felt like we were going there anyway. We printed above. We were 41.39 here in the pre-market. A little bit of a pullback here. Looks like we tested the 9-day moving average. So far, it's holding.
And then you have the CFO stepping down.
CFO stepping down. I don't know why.
That's moving because it hit 40. So it needs that catalyst to pull it back down so that it can it can trade like how I was expecting
Yeah.
it to.
David Reeder to depart, transitioning to CEO role in a semiconductor sector. He's going from animal supplies to semiconductors.
Okay.
So now that you're asking me about this, and we're kind of doing this in real time here, I'm not sure what this means for the stock. My knee-jerk reaction to this would be, I don't really think this is going to change how business is done there. They've really been kind of turning things around. So I would imagine that this would be a buy, a situation where you could add, but maybe they're turning around because of him. I don't know, Izzy. Let me think about that. Think about that. Anyway, I'm looking for a move 240 and a breakout above 40.
Kindly is about, I think it's getting pretty close to this head and shoulders resolution. We're losing VWAP again. Still have about 35 seconds left in this candle. So, for it to pull back up above it. But if it closes beneath it, I think that's going to be the first of many. There was another one that was getting going here. CTMX, this one tried to get back above its VWAP. It's looking like it might or maybe not, but that one's showing some signs of curling up. Just be careful with this one. They have an offering out on the table at $1.30, $1.30, and that's supposed to happen by tomorrow.
Is he saying never good when the CFO leaves? I don't know if there's something to that or not. Let me know if you figure something else out. I don't know. You could be. Again, this is one of the reasons why we scale into some of these positions as well. If Chewy really started to sell off, especially after all this and the market's looking strong, I'd probably just cut it and wait it out. I'm in small though right now. Number of you folks saying KDLY is done for the morning. I would say that this 1860 or this 65 EMA on the 5 is probably your last line in the sand here. 18.5. That's probably it for KDLY. I think if it loses that, it probably comes in even more.
I agree. I just don't think that it's going to hold up. I mean, it might get some initial support, but this pattern looks really good. I think that we're going to come in at the very least to the 200 EMA. Soundhound wasn't finished. This thing ripping up to my next level of 1085. It's currently at a high of 1067. Looks like this one was going to roll over as well, but it said not yet.
That took out that key level that we had identified. Yes, sir.
It matumboed. Now, NBIS, this is also starting to matumbo. Trying to get back above 33. There's a large wall of sellers there. That seems to be the big resistance area so far this morning, even though we did print above it. 33. We need to get back above and start closing above that in order to go higher. Really nice movement here from Soundhound. Getting some bounces in some other names. Looks like NXTT is trying to recapture its 200 EMA, but
Tesla call flow has flipped to mixed. AppLovin, by the way, seeing some put flow in here. That was strong here this morning. NVIDIA, that's actually rolling over from its high. Amazon, which was one of the strong stocks here this morning, this too also rolling over. Next spot to keep in mind here, 205 on Amazon.
STFU. That might be a sign. No problem. That might be a sign. That might be a sign. Just saying. You do what you want, man. Izzy saying he might be wrong. Excuse me, on Uber. Let me see here. Uber, you might be wrong on why do you think that that it's coming in? Stay away. Is that what you're referring to? Because I think that's what you said earlier. I mean, the intraday chart not looking the greatest. Couldn't get over that 87 area. It looks like, but on a daily, I'm not sure it's looking too bad. I think if we do hold up above 82, it still looks okay. I mean, what do you think, Izzy? You think because 82 is a pretty good support area. Draw a line there, look to the left. That seems to be about the area where if there's going to be any kind of support for where the price is right now, that's where it's going to come from. We lose 82, then I think we're looking at potentially like 77.5, maybe even lower than that. What do you think? STFU saying that.
What was the question? I just sat down a second too late.
Oh, I was just asking Izzy if he thinks that Because he was saying that he thinks he might be wrong about Uber, and I said, well, let's just see what happens at 82, because 82 looks like that's the support area from where the price is right now. And if that holds up, then it looks like we'll go higher. But if we lose 82 and start closing underneath that, I think your next support is going to be down around 77.50, maybe lower.
GRYP halted to the downside here. Russ saying, being from Atlanta, I love the Mutombo references. Russ, you didn't even have to be from Atlanta. If you, I'm 41 years old. When I was a kid growing up in the 90s, in Chicago, Michael Jordan is literally the biggest thing in the world. We still knew about Mutombo. Kids in Chicago were still on street basketball courts going, no, no, no. I mean, it's just he is larger than the game itself. Glad we can put a smile on your face with that.
Soundhound 1076 is the high. That's only 1077 now. We're less than 10 cents away from my next level. NXTT trying to curl back up. It's got a lot of resistance in the way at about 380. All that pre-market consolidation. So not very confident that it's going to go much higher than the 65 EMA. That value is at about $4. CTMX still trying to recover here, but dealing with VWAP at the same time. Have not been able to recapture that yet. If it does, I think that 2 is going to be the next resistance area. GRYP, that's halted to the downside, currently at the 65 EMA. Well, I don't know how much time is left on that, but my thought is once we open, I want to see that 65 EMA hold up. Otherwise, the support's going to have to come from about 150.
This CTMX that you just mentioned here, this actually might be trying to curl and go through this 190, 191 spot here.
Yeah, it does look like that, but well, actually, did this just open? Or was it halted? No, that must have been GRYP.
No. Nope.
The volume is really, really low on this, and it's currently now above VWAP, but the volume needs to be a lot better than this if we're going to see some upside. Still like that $2 level as resistance if we continue to hang out up here above the VWAP. Looks like Kindly is trying to get some support from the 65 EMA as well, but I don't like the volume. If this does end up pushing back up to VWAP, I expect there to be a rejection around there.
Charles is asking, which way is the market going? Well, right now, the market is holding here after its push higher on the back of the trade news. We're still holding here about 579-ish. Really not breaking down, at least not a whole lot. This all kind of feels like profit taking to me, but we're not moving any higher on the back of that.
We are getting some support from the previous all-time high of 577 and 71 cents. We did lose that 580.33 earlier this morning. Right out the gate, actually, we lost that level. So now 580.33 is resistance. It already has provided that twice this session. And on that second time, it took us down to the next previous all-time high where we found support. So that's the range that we're in right now. And basically, whichever one of those previous all-time highs we break over or under, I think that's going to dictate where we end up going for the next hour or so, at least until we get some folks coming back from their trading from their lunch hour.
Sideshow here, Yakshamash Sideshow, asking thoughts on GRYP. Might it be a multiple day play with the Bitcoin play? I'm debating if I want to put a stop loss or just chill for a bit. With a lot of these movers, like I tell you folks all the time, I am just in them for the day. If I trade them there, I'm not messing around with GRYP here today. But our group, Help Out Sideshow here, is this something that maybe we think is multi-day here? That's against my rules, Sideshow, but we'll ask the group here, see if anyone else can give you an opinion.
You know, I'd have to look and see when this merger is supposed to happen. Because I think the merger, when it does end up going through, that's going to be a sell. That could likely be a sell the news event. The thing that makes it interesting to hold through more than just today is the Eric Trump angle that's attached to it. But beyond that, I don't know enough about this to really be excited about holding it longer than today. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have more information. I would just have to really look into more about this company. But I think that merger is the next catalyst you have to look forward to.
Mo here saying crown jowl, Ryan. Is my jowl look like a crown? What? Crown jewel, maybe he meant. If so, what did you mean it about? Having trouble following that one, Mo. Good morning, nonetheless.
Soundhound 1093 is the high now. Hit that level I was looking for. Took it out, kind of hanging out above there. It looks like 11 has some concentration there. So if we do push up, might see some selling of about 11. Now, if we do get through that, my next level is going to be 1245. So we'll see if we end up getting that. No promises.
Okay, Smoked Tuna giving us one here. NEXN for a swing. Okay, so Tuna, right off the bat here, I'm not sure what this is. Nexen International here. This is what?
Advertising.
Globalized and flexible advertising technology platform with a deep expertise in data and advanced TV that helps empower advertisers. Canaccord, as of this morning, $14 price target. Put a buy rating on it. Raymond James had outperformed, $15 price target. This actually has some coverage here, Tuna. Earnings in 2 days. Does that play into it? You let me know. This is interesting. I don't have any oh, look at the chart. Look at this daily chart. This is a good looking chart.
1 second.
I'll tell you what, that $14, $15 level actually makes sense looking at this chart. Maybe this does go higher. Tuna, I haven't bought this one yet, but I'm adding this to my list of stocks to watch. Appreciate you, boss.
Last Monday, they got an upgrade from Raymond James,
Yeah.
a $15 price target. They also got a $14 price target from Canaccord. I'm just trying to see where this company operates out of. What is this?
Let me know what the thesis is here, Tuna. I'm curious. I am curious.
Well, I mean, I think the thesis. I mean, he'll tell you exactly what it is, but just looking at this and what it does, it would seem to me like this is going to be on the return of the American consumer. Because they've been that whole thing has been sidelined with the trade the trade escalation, and now that it seems like things are going to be coming back to normal, but also diversifying elsewhere, that their advertisers are going to want to pour more money into getting people to buy their stuff.
Oh, man, Soundhound, next leg up here, by the way, on Sound.
Yep.
Tuna found it with his AI model.
Interesting.
So do we try swinging some shares here? Based on Tuna's AI model? Is there a support department or a complaint department in case I lose money? Where do I go on that? I'm just kidding. But that's interesting. Just trust the list. That's all, says Crow. The list. Okay. You guys you're piquing my curiosity here. You are piquing my curiosity. Eris Stocks, you were asking earlier, Chewy, it seems this news is getting bought up, isn't it? Yeah, to me, this seems absolutely like this news is getting bought up here. Sure looks like this is going to try and go higher here. Remember, that's the CFO leaving. That's the news that we got here this morning.
So Nexen is headquartered in Israel.
Okay. I'm interested.
All right.
2 to 3 days is all Tuna said on that, right? Let me just make sure I got that right. No. Get this menu off. I don't want to put anyone in timeout. No.
Okay. Kindly is trying to get support from its 65 EMA. Hasn't been able to recapture VWAP yet. GRYP also at the 65 EMA. Not necessarily bouncing, but they're both holding up there at those EMAs. CTMX still trying to push higher. Looks like it's still gunning for 2. Soundhound through 11 now. And
gosh, this thing, what a rip on Soundhound.
Yeah, don't know if it's going to hit that 1245, but that's the next resistance area I've got. There might be one earlier, but I'm just looking at my levels from trades of the past. And volume is super low in a lot of these names. Make sure you've got your stops ready, just in case these things go sour on you.
The milk's gone bad.
Yeah.
Amanda says, I'm a big tuna fan and will support him. So I just bought some. There you go. Love it.
Actually, Tuna AI sounds like a pretty good platform. And Sean is still looking at SQQQ and TQQQ. He wants to know when those are looking good. We're still waiting for some extension away from their VWAPs. Let's just see where we're at with those right now. So with SQQQ, we're pretty much right at VWAP, so there's nothing there for me. TQQQ, same thing. They need to be extended away pretty significantly. For TQQQ, we want it to like 150, about $1.50 away from its VWAP. SQQQ 115 to 125. So we're a ways away from there. Now this could be turning around and trying to recapture their VWAPs and go higher or break down, but there's no trade here for us quite yet. Not the way we trade it.
Tuna AI, the name being thrown out here.
Yep.
We could package it with the Faloona indicator. I don't want to drag Tuna's hard work down by putting my name all over it, Amanda, but I appreciate you.
Some kind of partnership called Faloona Tuna.
Look, dude, so this, you guys want to know where first of all, growing up, my nickname was Tuna. I mean, there couldn't be an easier one. My father was a swim coach. He worked in athletics his entire life. He was a swim coach. They called his swim team Faloona's Tunas.
Nice.
So I pretty much just adopted that name. Also, when I was in college, The Office was really popular. I got called Big Tuna all the time.
The chicken of the sea.
I guess.
Well done, STFU. People are hitting that Soundhound.
That was a good one.
11:09. I mean, yeah, this last 20 minutes have been really good with Soundhound.
So where do we think we go from here, folks? We got Bitcoin. It moved a little bit lower, but it's still doing all right. Market is holding higher here by 2.7%.
For me, I mean, when it comes to
Where do we go?
Soundhound, well, Soundhound's still going, but for me, when it comes to Soundhound, this thing now has the resistance turn support area at 1085. So when we come back in, which I expect we will at some point, 1085 is going to be a support area. Still looks like 1245 might be possible with this kind of movement. We're just blowing through levels right now. The next resistance I see here is going to be at 1020 and 1030. But on my chart, it's going to be the 1245. That's the big level I'm waiting for. Don't know if we get it. It'd be cool. All those movers from this morning are getting pretty weak. Kindly taking, it's going down slowly, but it's still getting support from the 65 EMA. Got to hold that, or else it's if it doesn't, I think we're going to see the 200 EMA.
Go back on the list. We talked about this one. Oh, some continuation here. Look at this move in 2 sessions here on ticker GOGO. Not in it, but that's fun. Fog here saying, I've been looking for the perfect training platform, but have been more just sitting here listening and watching you guys every morning. Greatly appreciate your time and knowledge that you give every day. We appreciate you. Happy to do that. And also any feedback, we are definitely receptive to that. But good. Glad to hear that we are spreading positivity and helping. That's the whole goal here.
85 RSI on GoGo on the daily chart. This thing is likely going to have to pull back at some point. Now, whether or not that happens before it does this gap fill, I don't know. But with how extended it is up here, I don't know if this has ever been extended higher. Maybe once back in 2020. And I think that's a higher, because that we had a 90 RSI print then. So it certainly can get up here, but it doesn't stay up here for too long. So we're going to get a pullback and go at some point. Looking like this week. Don't know if it's today, don't know if it's tomorrow, but I'd say this week. Sound is gone, says Izzy. Where is it gone to? It's still looking like 11.14 is where we got the high, but I want to see 1085 hold up as support. That was the resistance area we were trying to break out of. Now it's support. Let's see what we get. GRYP, that's trying to come back up to its VWAP as well. I have that value at 212, trading at 204, 203 right now. Looks like Kindly's trying to break back into that VWAP as well. CTMX, this one reversed, went lower after hitting, what is it, 2?
Joseph here mentioning Meta hanging out close to its high here. I feel like this is poised to crank higher. I would agree with you. I don't know that it's going to do that, but honestly, my man, looking at where we're at right here, like this whole thing right in here, like bang, right here. And then on top of that, we're going to do this. Like, to me, sure looks like this is going to try and go higher here on Meta. We'll see.
Yeah, it looks like 700 might happen. We were just looking at a company that was doing advertising. You know, Meta does a lot of advertising. It's where a lot of their money comes from. So I think that same space, the advertising space, is getting a lift here. So you got Meta up. I'm sure Google's up as well because they do a lot of advertising.
Oh, yeah.
So Google's up.
By the way, on Google here, remember, these are the 160 calls. We are agonizingly close to those. I basically just have a piece left. So this trade has worked. The ads have worked. I've got one piece left. I'd love to see I'm literally holding that piece for a break higher here of 160 by selling some of it already. I've really locked in gains there. So I should be okay on this trade, but I want to see some more, right? I don't want to be greedy, but I want to see some more.
Yeah, and it's got to get back above its 50-day SMA as
right.
well. It's currently hanging out at its 20. So it looks like it's trying to recover, but it still has some boxes to check. I'm going to start using that term now.
I like that. I like it. Joe Schmo asking saying volume is way down across the board. Early lunch here on Wall Street. So this is another reason why I was saying earlier that let's do the Wayne Gretzky thing. Let's skate to where the puck is going. We don't necessarily want to chase this move. If we had, we'd all be sad trombone right now. What I'm trying to use the rest of today to figure out, where do we go next? And maybe not just today, but I mean like later this week and then next week as well. And then maybe even leading into Memorial Day a couple of weeks away from now.
STFU, I think you're right about Kindly. It looks like it's at any moment it could just lose this 65 EMA and take the next leg down. So I'm certainly watching that with KDLY. Also, there was another stock that was mentioned that I was keeping an eye on, NBIS. So this thing making new highs as well, but we're looking for this to go to, I think it was like 35, where their 200-day SMA is. CA Forsman's putting on some shorts with NBIS. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. You got a very extended RSI on the daily. It's at over 71 now. And you have that 200-day SMA at 34.94, so like about 35. I think that's a pretty good spot to do a short. Don't know how long you're planning on doing that, but for the purpose of trading today, it seems like 35 might be a good idea for a short in the short term.
Okay. Go sit there 3 minutes until we're done here, folks. I'm sending you to Trader Bacon after this. I know, dude. So yesterday I woke up and I was like, today the weather is great. I've got all my errands done. I saw my mom for Mother's Day on Saturday. I was like, I'm making breakfast. Eggs, bacon, hash browns right out on the Blackstone.
Nice.
Yesterday was just such a good day. Just such a good day.
FOG is asking if sound could hit 16, maybe 20. Well, today, I don't know. I very much doubt it could do that today. Ever? Certainly could. We've had prints, beyond 16. I have levels going up to 8. 18, 15 is where I have my highest level at. Don't know about 20. It's certainly something that could happen at some point. The more I look into SoundHound, the more I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually a real business, not just some junky name that ran because it has AI in it. So this is looking like something that could end up getting going. Don't know what the timeline is on how soon we get to the levels you're looking for, but It seems like it could, but just make sure you've got yourself protected on the way up. So if there is a pull in the market, then it takes this stock with it, that you've got your stop ready so that you're not losing too much of your gains or your money.
Here's one thing to take a look at here. We have been in a downtrend recently that we snapped. I think we actually talked about that last week, maybe the week prior. I think it was last week. We also have this potential inverse head and shoulders. And while it's not the greatest, I admit 13, it's not the greatest. It is a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders formation. So maybe we do get a little bit more lift. To 13's point, though, here's your 16. Yeah, I don't think that is on deck for today. Maybe if we have some continued momentum here, we'd also really need to see the volume increase. Look what happened the last time we traded up to 16. The volume was in an entirely different spot. Take care of yourself, Amanda. You got to go to a meeting. So too do I. 13's out for the day. We're sending you all to Trader Bacon. 13, Perfect. Why don't you give us your closing thoughts here today?
What a fun day of all these multiple movers that we had. This is going to be a great week. I can already tell. Just expect, upside, downside, and all around trading. We're going to be able to figure out which ones are going to move and make us money. We'll come and present them to you. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. For now, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Ryan, I'll see you later. Take care, everybody. Have a good
Sounds good. 13. Really good stuff. I would echo his sentiment here. It's been a really, really fun day, and I'll echo his sentiment once again. Remember, we are not over yet. So be sure to check back tomorrow and every day thereafter. More lessons, more fun, more trades, more news, courtesy of Benzinga. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow. Sending you to Trader Bacon right